Chapter 362. Gu Qing-shan flew faster and faster, quickly disappearing into the horizon with a sonic boom. Zhang Zongyang stood in the sky, not giving chase. His emotions were complicated. At this point, the hollow brain in his chest pocket lit up as impartial goddess voice came. General, all weapons have been disabled. The clown's speed is too fast, there is a 91% chance that we won't be able to catch up to it. Preparing a fleet of combat shuttles to give chase. Fine, Zhang Zongyuan sighed, saying, "This is an unprecedented existence, even if we catch up to it, we won't be able to gain anything." Impartial goddess was waiting for him to say that. The entire capital's garrison, even the warships in the sky, were all preparing to give chase. But as soon as the martial saint said that, all the machines shut down, as if they were already prepared. But Martial Saint Zhang Zongyuan didn't know that much. He looked down at the book in his hand. Is this really a martial arts scripture from another world? He flipped the cover of the book and looked inside. As soon as he did, he couldn't pay attention to anything else. After reading through the first page, he couldn't help but mutter, "So there's such a thing." Zhang Zongyang stood in the sky, letting the hollow brain send countless messages, ring and then disappear. All the way until nightfall, the martial saint's eyes never left the martial arts scripture. On the other side, Gu Qing-shan found a secluded area and took off the murder clown armor. "Ho, finally filled up this hole," Gu Qing-shan sighed in relief. "Sir, Yi Fei-li has returned to the graveyard," impartial goddess reported. Got it. Saying so, Gu Qing-shan fell into thought. There are some things that I need to figure out myself. This was the first time in his 2 lives that he's seen the undead in reality. If the undead exist, then, does reincarnation exist in this world? Or does people also go to Huangquan after they die? He checked the direction and flew towards the graveyard. A few moments later, the graveyard. Yi Fei-li was sitting on the stairs in front of the graveyard, not going in. "Why aren't you going in?" Gu Qing-shan asked. "It's not time yet, I can't hear her voice," Yi Fei-li said. "How much longer?" 10 hours. Since it's still so early, Gu Qing-shan looked him up and down and suggested, "It's not good for you to look so disheveled. Go back, take a shower, and dress properly before coming back." Yi Fei-li looked down at herself. His shirt was nowhere to be found. His body was splattered with bright red blood. His hands were also covered in congealed black blood. It was like coming out of a murder scene, in fact, it was. "You're right. This will scare her." Yi Fei-li agreed. "Let's go back first," he said. "You go back first, I still have something to do," Gu Qing-shan said. "All right, I'll come alone from now on." Yi Fei-li stood up to leave. "Wait a minute, I'm going to ask you a question, you have to answer it seriously," Gu Qing-shan said very seriously. "Go ahead." Seeing his serious expression, Yi Fei-li also became serious. "When you could hear her crying, did you hear anything else?" "Anything else?" "Nothing at all, nothing at all," Gu Qing-shan asked further. Looking at Gu Qing-shan's serious expression, Yi Fei-li suddenly realized something. This was a very important question, perhaps even more important than this matter itself. He tried his best to recall and finally said, "That's right, other than her voice, there seemed to be occasional noises, but I didn't pay attention to them, so they slowly disappeared." The 2 of them went silent. If Yi Fei-li didn't hear anything else because of his conscious rejection, then there might be other ghosts in this world. But if Yi Fei-li really only heard his girlfriend's crying, then there was only a single ghost in this world. No matter which one it is, it'll reveal another side of this world. In both the past and present life, no human has ever come into contact with this side. Because no human has ever awakened such a God's chosen skill. In this world, there were a few spirit-linked animals that did a lot of strange and inexplicable things. Some even guessed that they were able to communicate with other worlds. Perhaps it was because Yi Fei-li wasn't a human, but a man-killer fiend that the spirit-linked God's chosen skill awakened on him. Gu Qing-shan thought for a bit, then said, Next time you can hear her voice, try and see if you can hear other voices. Alright, I'll try, Yi Fei said. There's one more important thing, what is it? Help me ask your girlfriend a question. What question? Why did she stay here after she died and not go anywhere else? Alright, when I'm done, I'll come find you and we'll ask her more. What do you want to do? Yi Fei worriedly asked. Don't worry, I'm just trying to understand the situation. Gu Qingshan patted his shoulder. He continued, if we don't know what happened, then we won't be able to help her. That's true. Yi Fei nodded. Yi Fei then asked, when will you come back? If everything goes smoothly, I'll probably need a day and a night to finish what I'm doing, Gu Qingshan answered. Understood, I'll wait for you to come back, Yi Fei said. Alright, 2 streaks of light flew to the sky, heading in 2 different directions. In the night sky, Gu Qingshan was flying. While flying, he asked, how long has this rain been going on for? 17 hours. The area of the rain has spread to the ocean, impartial goddess answered. In other words, the entire planet is raining? Yes, sir, Gu Qingshan sighed, feeling a bit of a headache. Before the game of Eternal's descent, the rain only covered the human settlements. But this time, even the ocean is raining. The cold rain, sometimes heavy, sometimes light, has never stopped. Fine, while it's still raining, I'll have to deal with my own matters first. Please help me find a secluded place within the Federation's borders, he said. Sir, the destination has been set as the Great Masala Desert. Let's go. An hour later. Gu Qingshan stood in the middle of the desolate desert. He looked up at the sky. Lightning illuminated the dark clouds, as the rain of ice covered the sky. A few lines of glowing text appeared in his vision. The Ascended Realm Tribulation is about to begin. Detected that the user has learned archery, swordsmanship, and unique elemental lightning. Please choose your Dao carefully. I choose the sword, Gu Qingshan answered right away. The Dao of the sword is the most exclusive Dao. Once the user chooses the Dao of the sword, they must discard all other Daos. Are you sure you want to choose the sword? Yes, the user has chosen the Dao of the sword. Throughout the entire Ascended Realm, a cultivator doesn't awaken a new thaumaturgy, only their own Dao. Once a cultivator chooses their Dao, the power of the laws of heaven and earth will prove it, helping the cultivator form their own Dao. For example, a sword cultivator who reaches Ascended Realm late stage is qualified to break through to Sainted Realm. But Sword Saint is a sword cultivator's Dao. It doesn't have much to do with cultivation. If a sword cultivator's swordsmanship isn't good enough, even if they reach Sainted Realm, they might not be able to become a sword saint. In the past life, Gu Qingshan's Dao of the sword had already reached sword saint level. Unfortunately, he was only Ascended Realm middle stage, so he didn't have enough EXP to break through. That's why he didn't even qualify to break through to Sainted Realm. All players don't qualify to break through to Sainted Realm. Because in the end, the EXP would reach an astronomical number that no human could ever reach. But in this life, Gu Qingshan can use soul points to level up. Very soon, he will awaken the Dao of the Sword Saint. One day in the future, he will also become the first human to reach Sainted Realm in reality. But that's all in the future. Right now, following Gu Qingshan's choice, lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the War God UI. The Ascended Realm Tribulation has arrived. You must win against it to receive the heaven's reward and search for your own Dao. Rumble, rumble. Thunder boomed in the clouds. This is the might of the heavens, able to intimidate all living beings. The Ascended Realm Tribulation is at least twice as powerful as the Rejuvenation Realm Tribulation. Gu Qingshan didn't feel anything at all. Ever since he saw the 100 Flowers Fairy go through both the Wind and Lightning Tribulations, he felt that the other tribulations were too easy. He also went through the Ascended Realm Tribulation in the past life. The most difficult part of this tribulation is its duration. It will last for a day and a night, testing both the cultivator's stamina and spirit. For a long period of time, being struck by lightning nonstop is even more of a torture. So, Gu Qingshan took out a small bag and took out a pair of wireless earphones. He put them on. How about some rock music? Impartial Goddess asked. No, something a bit more relaxing. A female solo or a piano piece will do, Gu Qingshan answered. Understood. The music started. A clear female voice slowly sang, like the sound of nature. Xie Shuang Yan. That's right, her latest album. As they spoke, the first lightning bolt came. Gu Qingshan swung his sword at the tribulation lightning. Like stars, the lightning scattered everywhere. This song isn't bad, Gu Qingshan commented. This is the title song, Impartial Goddess reminded her. So that's why. Chapter 363. The bolts of lightning in the sky were getting denser and denser as they rained down. Gu Qingshan turned up the volume on his headset, unleashed a blinding sword phantom, flew up to the sky and extinguished the bolts of lightning. This battle went on for over half a day. The lightning tribulation hasn't ended yet. But the rain suddenly stopped. Gu Qingshan's expression changed. It didn't stop earlier or later, but right when he was facing his tribulation, the rain stopped. Once the rain stops, the world will undergo an unknown change. A new monster, a new calamity will appear, devouring humanity's entire civilization. But right now, the tribulation lightning is at its densest, even with Gu Qingshan's capabilities. He doesn't have the time to care about anything else. Gu Qingshan gritted his teeth and swung his hand to unleash a secret art. Drawn shadow, countless black sword phantoms appeared out of nowhere, blooming like a flower, deflecting all the incoming bolts of lightning. It was only now that Gu Qingshan had the chance to take out his hollow brain. Impartial Goddess, I'm here, sir. Is it still raining all over the world? It's all stopped. Immediately gather all the satellites around the world and display any anomalies on my screen. Sir, everything is normal. There are no anomalies at all. Gu Qingshan was stunned. Nothing? How is that possible? In the past life, as soon as the rain stopped, a great calamity would immediately descend. Is there nothing yet? Everything is normal. As he spoke, the black sword phantoms scattered as the tribulation lightning once again rained down. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but put his hollow brain away and unleashed sword phantoms to deflect the tribulation lightning. What the hell is coming? Damn it! Gu Qingshan complained in irritation. But he couldn't do anything. It wasn't raining, but the amount of tribulation lightning was silently increasing. Without a storm, the tribulation lightning would continue to descend. Gu Qingshan had no choice but to calm himself down and raise his sword again. Half an hour later, cold rain continued to fall from the sky, falling endlessly. It's raining. Gu Qingshan stood blankly in the middle of the rain, his heart still beating erratically. The rain continued to fall, pitter-patter. The raindrops were hitting the ground faster and faster, the sound getting louder and louder. The cold wind blew and the rain became heavier. The rain had clearly stopped. According to common sense from his previous life, a disaster was imminent, and there would not be any rain for a while. But now, the storm was rising again. Nothing like this had ever happened in his previous life. Could it be that one disaster was linked to another, erupting at the same time? Gu Qingshan was distracted and was almost struck by a tribulation lightning. The bolt of tribulation lightning slipped through the gaps between the countless sword beams and pounced towards him in an overbearing manner. By the time Gu Qingshan reacted, it was already too late to raise her sword. Shadow shift. The tribulation lightning struck the ground behind him. Boom. The desert rose like a wave and fell with the dripping rain. I can't go on like this. I can't think about it anymore. Gu Qingshan knew that she shouldn't have lost her composure. When facing the lightning tribulation, one must correct their attitude and treat it seriously. They must not be distracted by thinking about the arrival of the disaster. He tapped his inventory bag. He put on a light golden general's battle armor. Impartial Goddess, I'm here. Change to a rock and roll style. Didn't you want some soothing music? I need to focus now. Got it. The sound of drums, bass, and roars could be heard all at once. Gu Qingshan swallowed a spirit-replenishing pill. I don't have the time right now. Pay close attention to the world situation. As soon as anything out of the ordinary happens, tell me right away, Gu Qingshan said. Understood, sir, impartial goddess replied. Another bolt of tribulation lightning descended. Gu Qingshan wielded her sword to face the lightning and began to face the tribulation. Time slowly passed. A long day and night finally passed. When Gu Qingshan began his breakthrough, it was nighttime. When he finished, it was still nighttime. The tribulation clouds scattered. Only the icy rain continued to fall. Gu Qingshan closed his eyes for a bit, feeling the overwhelming power inside his body. After a while, he opened his eyes. From now on, he is an ascended realm cultivator. If he runs into the Pope again, Gu Qingshan won't need to run anymore. Even if the other party has a myriad of God's chosen skills, Gu Qingshan is a sword cultivator. One sword to break all laws. Both sides can have a good fight to see who's stronger. Gu Qingshan stood still and waited for a few breaths worth of time. But his soul vessel didn't leave his body and head towards the space vortex. Strange, its wounds still haven't healed? Gu Qingshan muttered. This was a normal breakthrough. The 100,000 years old giant corpse didn't do anything to lure him into the space vortex. But Gu Qingshan wasn't used to this kind of breakthrough. Last time when it revealed its secret to me, the giant corpse was struck by the lightning. It seems its wounds are quite deep. Even now it still doesn't have the strength to summon me to see it. This time, Gu Qingshan owes it two favors. Not only the secret between worlds, but also by Hua Fairy's fate, it even gave him an opinion. Such an existence can only be imprisoned in a small world, unable to move at all. Who imprisoned it? Gu Qingshan shook his head, knowing that he doesn't have the qualifications to get involved in this matter. Only when I become stronger in the future will I be able to think of a way to save it. While Gu Qingshan was thinking, a clear chime was heard. Ting! The war god Yui's voice came. Detected user has successfully broken through to Ascended Realm. User's maximum soul points increased to 300. User can now awaken sword manipulation. Awakening sword manipulation costs 500 soul points. Would you like to unlock it? Sword manipulation is the foundation of a sword saint, the most basic and important skill. As long as you want to walk the path of a sword saint, you must learn it. Gu Qingshan replied. Awaken. User has spent 500 soul points to awaken sword manipulation. User has remaining soul points. As user has learned sword manipulation, secret art Star Scar can now be awakened. Awakening secret art. Star Scar costs 110 soul points. Would you like to spend 110 soul points to awaken secret art? Star Scar. Awaken. A user has remaining soul points to awaken secret art. Star Scar, awakening both the sword manipulation and the Star Scar at once. Gu Qingshan's strength greatly increased. In this life, he has once again stepped into Ascended Realm, about to once again push open that door. Gu Qingshan recalled the memories in his mind. After a while, he suddenly formed a hand seal. Sword manipulation. The earth sword turned into a streak of light, dancing back and forth in the sky. Gu Qingshan formed another hand seal. 5 blinding sword phantoms appeared from the earth sword, like a meteor streaking across the sky. The light disappeared in a flash. Rumble, rumble. The desert was cut open by the sword phantoms, leaving 5 deep ravines. These 5 sword phantoms seemed to have pierced deep into the ground. The sand around them continued to fill in, but still couldn't fill up the ravines. This was the secret art Star Scar, which can only be activated through sword manipulation. At this point, Gu Qingshan has grasped a total of 7 secret arts, namely Water Flow Severance, Crescent Slash, 7 Stars Flowing Dragon, Drawn Shadow, Swallow Returns, torrent and the star scar. Gu Qingshan's hand seal changed. The earth sword flew back into his hand. Gu Qingshan stood straight with the sword in hand, looking at the 5 ravines with a complicated expression. I've finally taken a small step towards becoming a sword saint. But using hand seals to summon swords is only the basic. As the saying goes, a sword saint can summon 1,000 swords with a single thought. In the cultivation world, so many ascended realm sword cultivators couldn't even become a sword saint. In history, there were sainted realm sword cultivators, but they couldn't be considered sword saints. This isn't a problem of cultivation. Only when one's swordsmanship reaches a certain level, their understanding and control of the sword reaches another level, can they become a sword saint. To become a sword saint, talent, comprehension, bone structure, luck, and hard work, not a single one can be lacking. In the entire cultivation world, there are billions of players, but there are only 10 sword saints. However, sword immortals rarely use their powers. Because the swordsmanship of a sword saint is extremely powerful, but it also consumes a lot of spirit energy. Someone once deduced that to fight in sword saint mode for 1 minute, you need to have at least the spirit energy of a sainted realm cultivator. But in the game, the amount of EXP required to reach sainted realm is too much. No player can ever reach sainted realm. That's why the power of a sword saint is usually only for a split second. After that, they won't have the strength to fight anymore. Even though you have powerful swordsmanship, you don't have enough spirit energy to support a sword saint's intense battle. This feeling of helplessness and defeat can drive a person crazy. Chapter 364. This life, Gu Qingshan didn't enter World's Apocalypse Online. Instead, he mysteriously obtained the War God UI. Gu Qingshan is no longer bound by game EXP. This life, he directly used soul points to advance. From now on, he will break through to Sainted Realm, then Projection Realm, Tribulation Realm, Virtualized Realm, Cryptic Realm. The terrifying power of a Sword Saint will finally be fully unleashed. Sword Saint, Gu Qingshan muttered with a nostalgic tone. He looked up at the sky. The cold rain didn't stop for a single second. Disaster is coming. On the other side, within the space vortex, I'm about to enter a world that's heading towards its end. There are countless enemies waiting for me there. One careless mistake and I'll be doomed. The situation is dire. From now on, I have to become stronger as fast as possible. Gu Qingshan silently made up his mind. While he was thinking, a few lines of text appeared on the War God UI. Sword Saint Awakening quest now begins. You must complete a series of quests to prepare yourself and regain your former strength as a Sword Saint. Quest 1. Obtain 2 swords. Quest begins. Reading these lines of text on the War God UI, Gu Qingshan understood a bit. One sword to attack, the other to defend. A sword saint, let alone being surrounded by swords, at the very least, a sword saint needs to have 2 swords. But I already have 2 swords. 1 earth sword, 1 Chao Yin sword. While he was thinking, a few more lines of text appeared on the quest. Quest 1. Obtain 2 swords, undamaged. Quest begins. Gu Qingshan silently nodded. The Chao Yin sword is heavily damaged. It's no longer suitable for intense combat. Will any sword in this world do? Gu Qingshan asked. The system replied. To only a sword that can withstand your attacks can be called a sword. Sure enough, otherwise when I return to the past, I could have easily awakened my memories by finding any sword. As for now, there are only 2 ways to solve this problem. The first is to go to the other world. After I've deceived myself and escaped from danger, I'll find a sword. The second was to repair the Chao Yin sword from now on. Gu Qingshan pondered for a moment and made a decision. Back then, I promised the Chao Yin sword that I would repair it. A sword cultivator should not go back on his word to the sword spirit. From now on, he had to find a way to repair it. Furthermore, if he could fully awaken his sword immortal strength before heading to that world, his chances of survival would definitely increase greatly. Let's do it. Gu Qingshan took out a colorful sachet. The entire inheritance of Bai Hua sect was here. The 100 Flowers Fairy had collected all of the 6 arts in the cultivation world, and all of them were top-notch. There was even a complete refining room in the sachet. Gu Qingshan probed the sachet with her spiritual will and instantly found her target. Several jade scrolls that contained the method to refine swords appeared in his hands. On the War God UI, the War God skills icon flashed. Several notifications appeared on the War God UI. Discovered the following refining cultivation technique. General outline of refining. Complete record of sword embryo consciousness refinement. Gloom flame refinement technique. Melting flame refinement technique. Complete sword refinement technique. Complete weapon refinement technique. Please choose the scripture you wish to comprehend, Gu Qingshan asked. Is there a cooldown period for learning smithing scriptures? Ting. The system replied. Learning the 6 arts will not cause the user's strength to skyrocket, nor will it put too much of a burden on the user's body, so there is no cooldown period. Gu Qingshan was overjoyed. If that's the case, I want to comprehend all of these scriptures. To comprehend the above scriptures, the total cost is 1,100 soul points. Would the user like to pay the corresponding amount? Pay. The user has spent 1,100 soul points to comprehend all of the above scriptures. The user's remaining soul points flowed one after another from the jade tag into Gu Qingshan's arm, finally converging in his thought sea. Because there were so many scriptures, it took Gu Qingshan a whole incense's worth of time to comprehend them all. He took out the Chao Yin sword and tossed it in the air. The Chao Yin sword hovered for a bit, then tried flying east, then west. It flew up into the sky, then slowly descended, sticking close to the ground as it flew. After a while, the Chao Yin sword finally landed next to Gu Qingshan. It let out a light woo-woo sound. That's right, this isn't your original world, Gu Qingshan confirmed it. The Chao Yin sword curiously poked the sand on the ground. When it noticed that its entire sword body was slowly sinking into the sand, it panicked and pulled itself out. No, this world isn't all like this, Gu Qingshan explained. Of course I called you out because there's something important. It's like this, although I know smithing techniques, I still need you to take a look at which materials are needed to repair you before I dare to use them. The Chao Yin sword nodded its hilt in agreement. The materials of your world must have different names from mine, so I need you to describe the appearance and characteristics of each material to determine which one to use. That's right, after I've gathered all the materials, I'll begin to repair you. Hearing that, the Chao Yin sword excitedly flipped around in the air. Suddenly, a small glowing fish flew out from the sword hilt and swam around in the air. This was the sword spirit that Gu Qingshan met in the lava cave. The fish swam around, landed in front of Gu Qingshan, and lightly touched his forehead. The fish then went back into the Chao Yin sword. Gu Qingshan was a bit shocked, then muttered, "So it requires so many materials, that's not simple." Hearing that, the Chao Yin sword hurriedly circled around him. "Stop circling, I'm getting dizzy," Gu Qingshan chuckled. "Don't worry, I said I'll repair you, so I'll definitely do it. Don't worry, no one has touched any of this world's resources, there'll definitely be enough. Reality's cultivation resources aren't lacking compared to other worlds. But humans in reality never knew how to use these resources." Back to Gu Qingshan. Ever since his rebirth, he's always been busy trying to survive. Until today, when he finally has the ability to find these resources. He confidently said, "I should be able to repair you. Go rest first, I'll call you when the time comes." The Chao Yin sword let out a clear chime, then disappeared into the void of space. Gu Qingshan then closed his eyes and began to check his own situation. As he did, he found that his breathing was extremely messy. His spirit energy waves fluctuated between high and low. His breakthrough to the next realm was already complete, but his spirit energy was still in a turbulent state. which meant he couldn't continue breaking through. Gu Qingshan then put the jade tags into the 7-colored fragrance bag. When he was about to put the bag away, he suddenly remembered something. Wait a minute. Gu Qingshan looked at the 7-colored fragrance bag. This fragrance bag was made from 7 colored threads. It doesn't look like much, but it's impervious to fire and water. Nothing can damage it. When the 100 Flowers Fairy sensed her death, she gave all of her inheritance to Gu Qingshan. All of Bai Hua Sect's cultivation resources, including scriptures, are stored inside this fragrance bag. In other words, the divine skill Forgetting River is also inside? All of the elemental divine skills that the 100 Flowers Fairy knows, as well as the martial thaumaturgy divine skills, should be inside. Gu Qingshan suddenly became excited. Shifu gave everything to me, which means she's giving me permission to use the things inside. Gu Qingshan glanced at the war god Ui. Remaining soul points is sufficient. If I don't learn it now, when will I? He immediately sent his inner sight into the fragrance bag to search for scriptures. After a while, Gu Qingshan's expression changed as he took out a jade tag. As he held the jade tag, a few notifications appeared on the war god Ui. Huang Quan Path Divine Skill. Forgetting River. To learn this divine skill, the following prerequisites must be fulfilled: a female cultivator, elemental 5th stage, spirit energy talent, God's chosen skill, soul call, the secret art, sealed body in shift, the secret art, soul comes soul goes, samsara divine contract. Huang Quan Ferryman. Reading through it, Gu Qingshan helplessly shook his head. I don't meet the first one. The second one, I don't meet the 5 element. The third one is a God's chosen skill. This is a gift from the heavens. I can't learn it even if I wanted to. The 4th, 5th, and 6th each have a single line of explanation. Secret art. Sealed body in shift, you enter a state of death, no different from any other dead person in the world. The secret art. Soul comes soul goes. After you die, your soul will enter Huang Quan and be able to return. Samsara divine contract. Huang Quan Ferryman, you have formed a life force contract with the Forgetting River Ferryman. The Forgetting River Ferryman represents the law of heaven and earth. It will respond to your summoning. Reading through it again and again, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but sigh. So to learn a samsara divine skill, there are so many powerful prerequisites. No wonder Shifu didn't teach me this. At the beginning, when Shifu taught me a ground shrink, she said something. My other spells all have a lot of limitations, requiring many years to find the corresponding elemental root and hand seals. Seems like I'm not fated to learn this divine skill. However, Shifu knows quite a few divine skills. If I can't learn this one, I'll have to look at other divine skills. Gu Qingshan put the jade tag back and continued to look for more spells. Following that, he found Void Spirit Seeker, the Sky Collapse, Unbreakable Mountain Range, and even the Azura Divine Skill Virokana. But these divine skills all have a lot of prerequisites to learn. Only with Sky Collapse is a martial divine skill that doesn't have any prerequisites. But Gu Qingshan carefully thought about it and decided not to learn it. Quite a few professionists have the ability to learn all kinds of spells at the same time. Sword cultivators are different from other professions. Aside from special spells, they hate martial arts the most. As a sword cultivator, learning a fist technique is a huge hindrance to the path of a sword cultivator. For a sword cultivator, the most ideal thing is to learn a supportive divine skill, like ground shrink or shadow shift. Special samsara divine skills are also fine, but unfortunately, the prerequisites to learn them are too strict. I don't fit the bill. The Azura divine skill Virokana has a total of 19 prerequisites. Gu Qingshan only glanced through it once before giving up. He put the spells and divine skills back into the fragrance bag and temporarily stopped thinking about it. Chapter 365. Gu Qingshan turned on her hollow brain and began to input the relevant information. Repairing the Chao Yin sword requires a few dozen materials, all of which are extremely rare and precious, so Gu Qingshan isn't sure if this world has all of them. Even the cultivation world wouldn't be able to claim that they have all of the required materials for Shen Wu world's ancient sword. Right now, he could only collect and see black mystic stone. Its entire body is black and shiny, and its surface is uneven. It emits light when encountering fire and shrinks into a ball when encountering water. Pressed square cold iron, a stone from 10,000 meters under the sea. It has existed for at least 100,000 years. Its surface is blue and green, and it will expand under high temperatures. Sun-moon blood, the essence of falling stars. Its color is translucent and overflowing with color. Once it's formed, it will never be worn away. After a quarter of an hour, Gu Qingshan had finished recording all the required materials for the Chao Yin sword. I'll have to trouble you. These things might not be sold in the world. I'll need to search for them to find them, he said. Don't worry, sir, I will quickly send a search robot to search, Impartial Goddess replied. Gu Qingshan turned her attention to the outside world. Impartial Goddess, are there any strange occurrences in the world? He asked. Please wait a moment, Impartial Goddess replied. Anywhere on this planet where humans exist, they would not be able to survive. All the equipment that could capture images was quietly turned on to observe the situation around them. Although sea beasts would come ashore from time to time, humans had accumulated enough experience in dealing with these mindless monsters and gradually found a set of effective ways to deal with them. Even though the man-eater fiends could not be completely eradicated, the corresponding defensive measures were put in place. The professionists and mobile mechs worked together to keep an eye on the situation at all times. The entire human society suffered heavy losses, but order was gradually restored. There were no other strange things happening in the world. Impartial Goddess gaze returned to space. She mobilized hundreds of satellites to observe the entire planet and the situation around it. In the dark and cold universe, those terrifying space zergs dragged their huge bodies that were comparable to planets and moved slowly among the stars. Still, no monsters had discovered the planet where humans were. Impartial Goddess then used the global weather satellites to monitor the weather conditions of the entire planet. On the human planet, accompanied by the icy rain, the weather became colder and colder. The temperature continued to drop, and rivers and lakes began to freeze. Ice formed. The surface of the water slowly froze. This was a normal natural phenomenon. It was the general law of climate development, and there was nothing unusual about it. Impartial Goddess observed for a bit. After confirming that there were no abnormalities in the water, she stopped monitoring. However, in a place where the machine could not monitor. At the bottom of a large river, in a sunken water cave, bits and pieces of ice were slowly condensing. The speed at which the frost condensed was so slow that even the fish that swam by did not react at all. In the desert, no abnormalities detected, Impartial Goddess reported to Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan was a little uncertain. That was strange. Could it be an accident? But in his previous life, such a thing had never happened. He was puzzled. Perhaps it was really an accident. If anything out of the ordinary happens, let me know, Gu Qingshan said. That was all they could do now. Don't worry, sir, I will inform you immediately, Impartial Goddess replied. Also, something happened in space. I want to inform you. What is it? A small-sized interstellar warship is trying to board the S.W. Divine Temple. Have they been identified? They are all military officers of the Federation. What do they want? I've already warned them, but they showed us the maintenance procedures, Gu Qingshan asked. According to the relevant regulations, the S.W. Divine Temple is usually maintained by automated robots. Manual maintenance usually takes a few years. Could it be that the time is up? The timing is just right, but the people who came are different from the last time. What did you notice? This time, other than space mechanical engineers, there's also a powerful professionist. Impartial Goddess pulled out the list of people and their ID, then drew a red circle on one of them. Navy Colonel Zhang Yong, 4th tier Gods Chosen, has the ability to create a miniature independent space. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan scowled. Normally, only space mechanical engineers would participate in the S.W. Divine Temple's maintenance, so why is there a professionist this time? What are they trying to do? Impartial Goddess spoke. I'm about to reject their visit. Do you have any objections, sir? Gu Qingshan muses a bit, then said, how about we take a look at their goal? Please arrange it, sir. Find a valid reason, have them wait, activate the S.W. Divine Temple's automated robots. We'll begin to construct a false impression, understood. Also, send me to a low Earth orbit satellite. I'll provide support at any time. Yes, sir. A few minutes later. The small-sized interstellar warship. How is it? Did Impartial Goddess allow us to board? The warship's commander asked. The communications officer answered. Impartial Goddess has approved, but the S.W. Divine Temple is currently undergoing a full self-inspection, estimated to be 35 minutes before we can board. Is that normal? The commander asked the space mechanical engineer. It couldn't be more normal. The longest we've ever waited was 1.5 days. The engineer answered. You're the expert, I trust your judgment, the commander nodded. 35 minutes later. The small-sized interstellar warship activated and entered the S.W. Divine Temple. A total of 13 S.W. Divine Temple engineers in uniform finally boarded. After going through layers upon layers of verification and strict inspection, from their hair to their tools to ensure there's no danger, they were finally allowed to enter the middle section of the S.W. Divine Temple. Deep inside the S.W. Divine Temple, 18 blazing angel mechs armed to the teeth were waiting. If anything happens, they'll be responsible for cleaning up. But these people didn't do anything out of line. They did their job diligently. Even the Marine Colonel was doing a very good job. Seems like he's also gone through a series of strict mechanical training. Gu Qingshan stared at the screen, carefully observing the Marine Colonel. Let me see what exactly you're trying to do, he muttered. Under his gaze, the man meticulously completed his work. He worked for 4 hours, only wiping his sweat once in the middle of it. Gu Qingshan silently watched for 4 hours without moving. After 4 hours, the space mechanical engineers finished their work and boarded the small-sized interstellar warship to leave. 3 hours 37 minutes 59 seconds. He seems to have placed something near the large-scale power supply system, Gu Qingshan commented. Searching for the corresponding image, Impartial Goddess answered. Bring up the image on the screen. The Marine Colonel had just finished his job, wiping the sweat off his neck. He was standing next to the energy pool that Impartial Goddess used. Stop, Gu Qingshan said. The image froze. Zoom in on his right hand. The image focused on the man's right hand. A fingernail-sized black box was in his hand. Move forward 1 second, the image didn't change at all. But the black box in the man's hand disappeared. Move back 2 seconds, there was nothing in the man's hand. How interesting, Gu Qingshan smiled. Nothing can be brought into the S.W. Divine Temple. But this man used his God's chosen skill to create a small pocket dimension and brought a fingernail-sized object inside. Unable to determine what the object is, unable to determine where it went. Same here, sir. What now? Chapter 366. I agree with your analysis, sir, but we don't have a way to take it out, Impartial Goddess answered. That's right, the God's chosen skill activated too quickly. He really did come here to cause trouble, Gu Qingshan commented. According to my analysis, the only way to affect the energy pool is by using a nanobomb. That's most likely the case, Gu Qingshan smiled and continued. Fortunately, everything here is only an illusion that we created, so no matter what he did, he wouldn't be able to blow up your real energy reservoir, so what do we do next? Impartial Goddess asked. According to your procedure? Notify the 3 army commanders, according to the Federation's legal procedures, capture him and put him on trial. I bet we won't be able to get any information, he'll disappear before he's caught. What is your opinion? Use the most powerful special grade materials to isolate this area. And then? Wait and see what their goal is, Gu Qingshan answered. Following Sir Gu Qingshan's suggestion, Impartial Goddess answered. Gu Qingshan nodded, saying, It's getting late, send me back. Very well, sir. Also, Zhang Yongho, Liao Xing, Yi Feili and Anna have all left messages. Gu Qingshan was surprised. It took me a full day and night to break through, then 4 to 5 hours to keep an eye on those people. During that time, he turned off his communicator. All right, let me hear it. Liao Xing's loud voice came. Boss, I don't really understand these scriptures. Can I trouble you to come back and give me a suggestion so I can categorize them and record them into the system? Gu Qingshan pressed the switch button. Within the commotion, Zhang Yongho shouted into his communicator. What exactly is going on with Yi Feili? He doesn't care about the methods he used to kill people, causing such a ruckus on TV. I had no choice but to come back early to cover up his tracks. Even Zhang Yongho doesn't know the specifics of the situation. It seems the murder clown's appearance was covered up by the Martial Saint and the Federation. This is to avoid social panic. After going through the game of Eternal, the murder clown had become a symbol of fear for humanity. The clown could no longer make people laugh. Around the world, many circus clowns have lost their jobs and changed careers. Gu Qingshan pondered. What did Zhang Yongho do? He convinced the Secret Service of the Federation and found a few senators to propose a government resolution. What resolution? To avoid widespread panic, the government announced that what happened that morning was a mock attack by man-killer fiends. Who would believe that? All the government departments made a joint statement. He also asked me, so I also made a statement. If you prove it, people will probably believe it. The Wang family is looking for Yi Feili like crazy. Have they made any progress? Not at the moment. That's good. Gu Qingshan pressed the switch button again. Anna's voice sounded, I'm fine. I'm on a long journey. Take care of yourself and wait for my return. He pressed the switch button again. Yi Feili's voice came again. During that hour, I could indeed hear the voices of other dead souls, but only if I want to hear what they're saying. It's very complicated. You should come back and we'll talk about it in detail. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan's expression became serious. Anything that involves ghosts can't be underestimated. If they can find out what happens after death, it'll be a milestone in humanity's understanding of the world. So many things happened one after another. So much so that Gu Qingshan couldn't leave reality to go to that foreign world. Looking at the dates of these messages, even the most recent one was from half a day ago. Thinking for a bit, Gu Qingshan decided not to leave for now. Since there are so many things to do, I'll take advantage of the time before the rain stops and deal with reality first. Only when the calamity arrives and is dealt with will I be able to leave in peace. At the same time, before going to that world, I need to make some preparations. He first contacted Zhang Yongho. What is it? It's nothing, I'm going to take a nap, I just finished work, I'm so tired. Zhang Yongho was still sleepy. I want to go to your Hitman Guild to learn a few things, Gu Qingshan said. What? You want to join my guild? Are you serious? Zhang Yongho immediately woke up. That's right, I probably want to learn a few skills. Yi Feili also needs to come, Gu Qingshan said. Then come back, I'll wait for you in the living room, Zhang Yongho said. All right, the call ended. Impartial Goddess, I think I'll need a type of genetic-level plastic surgery, Gu Qingshan said again. Like Liao Xing's. That's right, but it won't be permanent, I need to return to my original appearance. That's simple, what do you want to look like? Like this, saying so, Gu Qingshan formed a hand seal. It's the most basic, spirit camouflage technique. It doesn't have any power, any normal cultivator can use it. With a flash of light, the image of the virtualized realm cultivator Qi Yen appeared in the air. This was a 3D image of a person. Every single detail of Qi Yan's appearance was recreated, very lifelike. Impartial Goddess spoke. I've recorded it, beginning to calculate the genetic arrangement of a human's appearance. Thank you, I'm at your service. Gu Qingshan returned to the mountaintop mansion. Opening the door, the three of them were already there. Liao Xing was sitting on the sofa, drinking beer while watching the news on TV. Zhang Yongho was scolding Yi Feili. That was a national live broadcast. He was giving a speech for his councilman election, but you flew up to grab him and cut him up while crying. Do you really think everyone is blind? I'm telling you, this is going to get out of hand. Zhang Yongho was furious, saying, My dear brother, how can you kill someone like that? You should have waited until the live broadcast ended, or you could have blown up the live broadcast equipment and assassinated him. That would have been 10,000 times better. Yi Feili lowered her head without saying a word. Gu Qingshan patted Yi Feili's shoulder and sat down on the sofa. I forgot to ask you if it felt good, he said. It did. Yi Feili smirked. Zhang Yongho realized something and asked, Wait a minute, did you allow him to do that? I'm sorry, I'll be more careful from now on. Gu Qingshan smiled apologetically. Both of you stop, I'm going to complain first. Liao Xing raised his hand. Gu Qingshan looked at him. This brother moved an entire tombstone and placed it in his room. Can you imagine? I'm still scared to death. Liao Xing still had a look of disbelief on his face as he spoke. She didn't move the coffin? Gu Qingshan turned to ask. She attached herself to the tombstone. As soon as the tombstone moved, she moved with it, Yi Feili answered. Then what about her body? So I cremated her and put her ashes away. It's also in my room, Yi Feili explained. Zhang Yongho opened his mouth, unable to understand what the two of them were talking about. Liao Xing moved his but a bit further away from the sofa. That's good, this place is much better than the graveyard, and with you to talk to her, she won't be lonely, Gu Qingshan agreed. Yi Feili smiled, showing a satisfied expression. The other two were dumbfounded. This time, even Zhang Yongho started to move his butt. I'm going to the toilet. Saying so, Liao Xing stood up to run away. Wait a minute, it's not what you think it is, Gu Qingshan hurriedly said. Liao Xing carefully looked at him, only to see that his expression was calm. His tone was calm. He didn't look like he was bewitched. Gu Qingshan's way of doing things was very reasonable. Liao Xing trusted him, so his heart relaxed. Zhang Yongho also calmed down. What's going on? Zhang Yongho asked. Before Gu Qingshan could answer, Yi Feili hurriedly explained. After she died, I could always hear her crying, so I went to the graveyard to bring her soul back here, dead. Cries. Ghosts. A cold breeze seemed to blow through the air. Yi Feili continued. Perhaps she's watching us from the side, but I can't see her. Wait until I hear her voice, then I can introduce her to you this time, let alone Liao Xing. Even Zhang Yongho couldn't sit still. Zhang Yongho cleared his throat. I just remembered, I still have something to take care of, I'll be going first. He was held down by Gu Qingshan. You're a hitman, a person who kills people every day, what are you afraid of? Gu Qingshan asked. I have countless ways to kill people, but I don't know how to kill ghosts. Zhang Yongho wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. It's fine, she's Yi Feili's girlfriend, don't think too much about it. Girlfriend? Zhang Yongho and Liao Xing both shouted at the same time. Their hearts started to tremble. A living person dating a ghost? No, to be more specific, this is a man-killer fiend dating a ghost. Although they're both ghosts, they're still crossing the line between the yin and yang. Not good, this is too terrifying, completely beyond human understanding. What exactly happened? Zhang Yongho gathered his courage and asked. Gu Qingshan then told them everything from start to finish. After understanding the girl's situation before and after death, as well as the whole story, the two of them finally calmed down. Zhang Yongho muses. If that's the case, that Wang Mingzhe really should be killed, Liao Xing suddenly shouted excitedly. So there really are ghosts in this world. This is the greatest discovery in the history of science. We should form a research team to study ghosts. Yi Feili glanced at him. He pressed down on Liao Xing's shoulder. That's my girlfriend, do you really want to study her? A blood-red glow came from his body, slowly enveloping Liao Xing. This glow had killed quite a few champions of Eternal before. Liao Xing was someone who knew his stuff, so he hurriedly tried to retreat. But he was being held down by Yi Feili, unable to move at all. Seeing the red glow getting closer, Liao Xing hurriedly said, "Ahaha, I was just joking, I wouldn't dare. If you ever have such thoughts again, you definitely have to tell me," Yi Feili lightly said. "Don't worry, it definitely won't happen again." Liao Xing was already soaked in cold sweat. After dealing with this old bastard, Yi Feili clasped her hands together and sincerely said, "I just want to be with her, please let me go." Gu Qingshan looked at Zhang Yongho, only to find that Zhang Yongho was also looking at her. "I have no objections," Gu Qingshan said. "There are quite a few hitman secrets in my room that I can't let outsiders see." Zhang Yongho crossed his arms and said. Yi Feili made a begging expression. Gu Qingshan silently signaled Zhang Yongho with her eyes. Zhang Yongho helplessly replied, "But it doesn't matter if it's a ghost, because she won't tell any secrets to a living person." Yi Feili was overjoyed and looked at Liao Xing. Seeing the two big shots say that, Liao Xing knew that the matter was settled. He had no choice but to seriously remind him. "Tell your girlfriend not to run around at night, otherwise, if she sees something she shouldn't see and gets scared, don't blame me." Chapter 367. Can't scare her? Brat, my miniature warp device is related to spacetime. If your girlfriend gets sucked into it and gets lost, don't blame me, Liao Fan said. "Alright, I understand, I'll tell her about it." Yi Feili took this seriously. And so, this matter was decided. "Thank you everyone." Yi Feili was happy. "Then, Yi Feili, you have to listen to me," Zhang Yongho said. "Go ahead." Yi Feili's attitude couldn't be any nicer. "You killed people for a reason, so I won't say anything about it, But every profession has its own taboo. These taboo are the conclusions of our predecessors. They can help us avoid dangerous situations, so you'll have to learn from me," Zhang Yongho said. "I'm a man-killer fiend. Do I also need to learn how to assassinate?" Yi Feili asked. Zhang Yongho didn't say anything and only stared at him. "Fine," Yi Feili compromised. Zhang Yongho looked at Gu Qingshan and asked, "If you want him to learn from me, what about you?" "I also have to join, and I'll need your full support," Gu Qingshan said. Zhang Yongho calmed down and asked, "What happened?" "I've never seen you so serious before," Gu Qingshan answered. "I have to perfectly impersonate a certain person to achieve my goal. Do you have any relevant information on this person?" Zhang Yongho asked. "I do. Appearance can be solved with genetic technology, but a person's voice contains their voice, tone, emotions and personal habits. You'll need to go through professional training," Zhang Yongho said. "That's why I came to find you," Gu Qingshan smiled. Zhang Yongho continued. "That's no problem, I'll arrange it. What do I need to do?" Gu Qingshan asked. "You have to go through training first. You have to learn to control your tone, movements, and expressions. You must not make any mistakes in your behavior. Alright. Only then can you start to try to put yourself in that person's shoes and make others think that you are him." Zhang Yongho continued, "I will arrange it now. We will start training tomorrow." "Thank you, this matter is very important to me," Gu Qingshan said seriously. "We're on the same side. No need to thank me. If anything happens to my team in the future, just help me out." "That's a must." At this time, Liao Xing said, "Look at the news." The three of them turned around and looked at the projected screen. An important piece of news was being urgently broadcasted on the news. His Excellency the President was mobilizing the party for himself before the election, but in the end, he was assassinated by a powerful force at the party dinner. Fortunately, the assassin was caught in time. After a doctor's examination, Mr. President's body was fine. The President indicated that he would continue to seek re-election. Although there was a problem with the councillor election yesterday, the Federation's presidential election will still be held as scheduled. The election is currently the most important matter for the entire Federation. Unless something unexpected happens, it will not be postponed. Another assassination attempt. Our Excellency the President has been through a lot, Liao Xing said. Why is that? Yi Fei curiously asked. Zhang Yongho explained. He's always been pushing for the genetic serums to be popularized, wanting everyone to accept perfectionist genetic modification. The genetic serums are in the hands of the Nine Lords, Gu Qingshan said. That's why it's no surprise that he's been assassinated so often, Zhang Yongho said. Yi Fei said, I'll tell you the truth, I really hate the Nine Lords, but the entire Federation was created by them, Zhang Yongho shrugged. Gu Qingshan opened the blinds and stared at the heavy rain outside. Impartial Goddess has remained silent. This means that everything is normal, there's no earth-shattering calamity in the world. Perhaps the rain stopping that time was just a coincidence. Gu Qingshan sighed. That's good, I still have time to prepare. Gu Qingshan was silently thinking about his own matters, not paying attention to the rain outside the window. He also didn't notice that the glass was reflecting the scene in the room, showing everyone's expressions. Liao Xing's expression was a bit strange. He was staring at the President on the TV screen, squinting his eyes. Did I see it wrong? Liao Xing muttered. After the news, the President began to make a nationally televised speech to warm up the election. Gu Qingshan turned off the TV. Now, let's talk about the main topic, he called everyone. A few large scripture books appeared on the tea table. These are the scriptures I'm giving you, practice them well, Gu Qingshan said. If I learn this, will I be able to fly like you? Zhang Yongho asked with interest. Sure, Gu Qingshan answered. Zhang Yongho quickly took the one that belonged to him. If I learn this, will I be able to see her like you? Yi Fei's eyes were full of desire. Sure, Gu Qingshan answered. Yi Fei took the one that belonged to her and began to read it. If I learn this, I'll be able to improve my abilities? Liao Xing glanced at the scripture books on the tea table and asked. Gu Qingshan replied. Of course, this is an evolution on the level of a living being, any kind of ability is fine. Liao Xing then took the one that belonged to him and carefully flipped to the first page. I've spent a lot of time picking them out for you, I've written down all the things that you need to pay attention to. If you really don't understand anything, just ask me, Gu Qingshan told him. Thank you, Zhang Yongho and Yi Fei both said at the same time. Hurry up and practice it, no one knows what the future of the world will be like. You need to become stronger, Gu Qingshan told them. Liao Xing said that you've prepared over 1,000 scriptures. Zhang Yongho asked, what are you planning to do? I'm going to find an opportunity, together with our bracelets, to give it to humanity as a whole, Gu Qingshan answered. Then wouldn't the sky be filled with flying people? No one would use shuttles anymore, Zhang Yongho commented. You're overthinking it, flying by yourself isn't as comfortable as shuttles, and cultivation isn't simple. Not everyone can reach the realm of flying, Gu Qingshan told him. Everyone silently nodded. Tch, these things are so simple, not even half as complicated as my warp technique. Liao Xing looked at the scripture and scoffed. There's only a few hundred acupoints on the acupoints diagram, I can memorize them with just a glance, he pridefully said. You're a scientist, so of course your thinking is a bit better, but your body is too worn out, so your cultivation speed might not be as fast, Gu Qingshan told him. Worn out? I didn't do anything, and it's been a long time since I touched a woman. Liao Xing didn't believe her. Gu Qingshan looked at him seriously, then muttered, "That's strange, you still seem a bit weak." Liao Xing remembered something. He silently took his scripture book, stood up, and went back to his room. "What weak? I'll make it up after a good night's sleep," Liao Xing suddenly said. Bang! The door was slammed shut. The three of them exchanged glances, then continued to talk. "Yi Feili, how much longer until you can hear your girlfriend's voice?" Gu Qingshan finally asked. "Probably tomorrow," Yi Feili answered. "Then can you hear other voices?" "I can," Yi Feili answered. "During that hour, as long as I want to, I can hear the voices of dead souls. Because I was only thinking about her, I ignored the voices of other dead souls. So that's how it is. Are there a lot of dead souls in this world?" Gu Qingshan asked. "That's the strange part. What I don't understand is..." Yi Feili said. "Wait a minute," Zhang Yongho cut him off. The two of them looked at Zhang Yongho. "It's already so late, it's a bit scary to talk about this. We need to get something to drink," Zhang Yongho said. "You're a hitman, why are you afraid of ghosts?" Yi Feili asked. "I'm not afraid, I can't help but feel nervous," Zhang Yongho replied. "Let's drink a bit," Gu Qingshan agreed. Zhang Yongho went to get 3 glasses and opened a bottle of liquor. "Cheers!" The three of them knocked their glasses together and drank it all at once. The burning sensation spread from their throats to their chests. Gu Qingshan sighed. Zhang Yongho clicked his tongue. Yi Feili scowled. Zhang Yongho then filled up the 3 glasses. Yi Feili continued, "Since I can hear the voices of dead souls when I want to, there should be a lot of voices in my ears, of course." Zhang Yongho gulped down another glass. "For countless years, so many people have died in this world. If you can hear the voices of all the dead, you'll probably die from the noise." Chapter 368. "I can only hear very few voices, very few," Yi Feili replied. "How many?" Gu Qingshan asked. "There are only 7 to 8 souls in the entire graveyard," Yi Feili replied. "That can't be right. That graveyard has at least several tens of thousands of graves. Where are the other souls?" Gu Qingshan asked. "That's what I find strange." Yi Feili took a sip of liquor and said. Gu Qingshan silently thought for a bit, then asked, "I told you to ask your girlfriend, did you ask her?" Yi Feili replied. "She said that after she died, something seemed to be pulling her towards a certain direction." Zhang Yongho and Gu Qingshan exchanged glances. Yi Feili continued. "But for some reason, this pulling force suddenly stopped, so she didn't know where to go and stayed in front of her own grave. The pulling force stopped." Zhang Yongho uncomfortably cracked his neck. The three of them fell silent. For the three of them, the world after death was something that they couldn't understand. They didn't have any experience or knowledge that they could refer to, so they couldn't understand what this meant. Gu Qingshan held the glass in her hand, but didn't take a single sip. If that's all Yi Feili's girlfriend knows, there's no point in asking her any further. Is there any other information? Did your girlfriend tell you about the situation of the other souls in the graveyard? Gu Qingshan asked. "Ah, she did mention a few, but they were all people who died recently," Yi Feili replied. "The ones who died recently?" Gu Qingshan's expression changed. It was very rare for him to show such obvious emotions. Zhang Yongho looked at him and asked in surprise, "What's going on? What did you think of?" Gu Qingshan muses. "Let's say that after a person dies, they would be guided by that power to another world, but that power has been cut off recently, so the souls of those who died recently are left in the world of the living. Does this hypothesis make sense?" he asked. "That makes sense." Zhang Yongho thought about it seriously and said, "If that's the case, then it makes sense that Yi Feili could only hear the voices of a few dead souls." Yi Feili was puzzled. Why did the pulling force suddenly disappear? Zhang Yongho said, "Maybe something strange is going to happen in the world." Gu Qingshan heaved a long sigh. "Not yet, but I hope that the problem lies in our world." "Why?" asked Zhang Yongho curiously. "Because if that's the case, we can still think of a way." Gu Qingshan drank the wine in one gulp and continued, if the place where the problem occurs is the world of the dead, then we, the living, won't be able to do anything. The world of the dead. Zhang Yongho and Yi Feili were both speechless. There's something wrong with the world of the dead. This deduction was too crazy, and no one could accept it for a while. Gu Qingshan silently recalled the past life. There aren't many disasters related to the dead. Thinking about it, the only one I can think of is the Frost Calamity. That was the final moments of the apocalypse, when demons and devils rampaged and the human realm collapsed. That was a disaster that humanity couldn't resist at all. Gu Qingshan clenched his fist tightly. Fortunately, there are only a few souls left in the human realm, which isn't the same as that incident. Hopefully it isn't. He silently prayed. Liao Xing's bedroom. He's already memorized the scripture by heart after flipping through it once. I can't help but admit, some people's comprehension and thinking abilities are different from normal people. He tossed the scripture aside, closed his eyes and tried to sense his spirit energy. A few moments later, Liao Xing smiled. What a miraculous power! A light breeze drifted around his body, but didn't go away. This was the phenomenon of spirit energy gathering. I need to strengthen my constitution. The wind suddenly went away. Ah, damn it! Liao Xing opened his eyes. He felt a slight tingling sensation on his body. This is the reaction of his meridians being stimulated. Since this happened, I won't be able to train tonight. What the hell, is this what the scripture says about being too stubborn? Liao Xing turned on the screen, leaned on his bed, and began to search for some documents. His hands suddenly stopped. Body exhaustion. He begrudgingly switched to the news channel. On the screen, the president was standing in front of a graveyard, giving a speech. I believe that everyone will miss the founder of modern genomics, geneticist Dr. Tang Jun. The president was speaking on TV. Old Tang is dead? No, even a madman like me isn't dead yet. How did a good person like him die? Liao Xing muttered. He took out his holobrain and looked at the relevant information. Founder of modern genomics, Dr. Tang Jun, while meeting with the president a few days ago, he suddenly suffered a heart attack and passed away. Liao Xing's eyes showed a bit of sadness, but it was quickly replaced by something else. He put down his holobrain and stared at the TV. The president was still speaking. Liao Xing tilted his head, his eyes never leaving the TV. The living room. All right, there's no point thinking about it. Let's get some rest, Gu Qingshan said. Zhang Yongho also said, Yi Feili and Gu Qingshan, both of you will be joining my team tomorrow to learn a few new things. Gu Qingshan and Yi Feili both nodded. Everyone left one after another. Zhang Yongho was making calls everywhere, preparing for tomorrow's event. Gu Qingshan went back to her room. As a man-killer fiend, Yi Feili didn't feel tired at all, so she sat on the sofa by herself. It's not time to listen to the ghosts yet, so he had nothing to do. When Yi Feili was about to play, he remembered the scripture that Gu Qingshan gave him. He took out the scripture and casually flipped through it. The smell of ink wafted into his nose. It's just been printed, Yi Feili commented. He flipped to the first page. On the first page, a large line of text was printed in Song font number 3. Do you want to see ghosts? See ghosts. Yi Feili suddenly sat up straight and seriously read on. Gu Qingshan went back to her room to meditate, then took out the jade tag that Qing Ro gave her. Holding the jade tag, he carefully went through all of Qi Yan's personal information. A few hours quickly passed. After midnight, Gu Qingshan put the jade tag down. He began to circulate the spirit energy in his dantian, slowly getting used to the change in spirit energy of Ascended Realm. What they didn't know was that Liao Xing was in his room, staring at the screen, watching the president's TV speech twice. One night passed. The next morning, Zhang Yongho left early. Liao Xing boarded the small-sized interstellar warship, heading towards the Divine Temple to continue writing and categorizing cultivation scriptures. Impartial Goddess sent him a temporary gene surgery product. After thinking for a bit, Gu Qingshan gave it to Yi Feili instead. Yi Feili immediately turned into the Zishan young master's appearance. Exactly the same, seems like man-killer fiends can still accept plastic surgery, Gu Qingshan observed Yi Feili's appearance and commented. But my eyes are still blood-red, Impartial Goddess voice came. After 7941 experiments, final conclusion, man-killer fiends' distinguishing characteristics cannot be removed by the genetic serum. Hearing that, Yi Feili felt a bit lonely. What's the matter? Gu Qingshan asked. Yi Feili forced a smile. It's nothing. How long will I be able to maintain this appearance? 5 days, that's a long time. You're still wanted outside, so you'll be safe like this. Alright, outside the room, the shuttle was ready. Gu Qingshan and Yi Feili went out and boarded the shuttle together. The shuttle left the mountaintop mansion. Where are we going now? Yi Feili asked. The capital. Zhang Yongho has arranged for someone to wait for us, Gu Qingshan answered. Where is he? He's already gone to prepare, Yi Feili sighed. It looks quite grand. I didn't think he'd be so thoughtful, Gu Qingshan agreed. That's right, I think so too. Then what exactly are we going to learn? This question stumped Gu Qingshan. He only knew that Zhang Yongho would specifically design a few things for the two of them to learn. He didn't know what exactly they were going to learn either. I think I'll need to learn disguise, and you should also learn something about that, Gu Qingshan answered. A few moments later, the shuttle's electronic voice came, telling them that they were about to arrive at their destination. I want to come back tonight to keep her company, Yi Feili said. It's your own time, use it as you see fit, Gu Qingshan replied. Yi Feili put on a baseball cap and a pair of sunglasses. You don't need to wear sunglasses, Why? Gu Qingshan suddenly took out a beautifully wrapped small box and put it on the table. This is for you, he said. What is this? Yi Feili curiously asked. I promised you, when you can control your killing intent, you'll be able to live like a normal person, the latest technological achievement, a perfect optical bionic product, Gu Qingshan explained. I bought this from you, it'll allow you to live like a normal person. Perhaps after this training, you'll be able to meet your mother, really? Yi Feili was very excited. That's right, don't be a shut-in, pay more attention to the development of the times when you have time. Technology is constantly changing our lives, Gu Qingshan very seriously told her. Yi Feili looked at him deeply. I'll keep that in mind, he quickly opened the box. Chapter 369. As soon as Yi Feili put on the black rim contact lens, she saw a complete stranger in the mirror. But this is only the effect of the genetic serum, it's not important. What's important is that his eyes have turned black. Gu Qingshan's voice came from next to her. If you're tired of wearing black, we can change to another color like blue? The shuttle has arrived at their destination. As they got off the shuttle, there's already a familiar person waiting for them. Tong Tong. The young beauty Tong Tong once cooperated with them to kill the champion of Eternal, Lu Sherman. She's the 11th ranked hitman in the Hunters Guild. Mr. Gu, Mr. Yi, please come this way, Tong Tong smiled and said. Yes, thank you for last time, Gu Qingshan said. It's my honor to be able to kill people together with Mr. Gu and Mr. Yi, Tong Tong smiled. Her tone was like she's participating in a grand event. After greeting each other, the three of them followed Tong Tong's lead and walked along the road. Where are we going? Yi Feili asked. Mr. Yi Feili will be entering the black market to learn some basic rules and survival skills. Saying so, Tong Tong waved at a black man walking in front of them. After a few words, the black man waved at Yi Feili. All right, Yi Feili sighed helplessly and followed the black man. What about me? Where do I go? Gu Qingshan asked. Please come with me, Tong Tong said. The two of them walked for a bit until they reached a large gate. Tong Tong stopped, turned around and smiled. Mr. Gu, we're here, is it here? Gu Qingshan looked up. There was a line of text on the gate. Capital Film Academy. Gu Qingshan muttered. So you're both actors. This is a very important basic skill, Tong Tong said with a serious expression. The two of them went through the gate. The one teaching Gu Qingshan is the #1 performing arts master in the entire Capital Film Academy. Gu Qingshan spent the entire morning being scolded and scolded like a dog. At lunchtime, Zhang Young-ho came. Don't worry, slowly learn, you have to learn to act as someone else. You have to feel that they are you and you are them, Zhang Young-ho said. Gu Qingshan silently ate. Halfway through, he suddenly remembered something and asked, Are there a lot of movie stars who graduated from this place? As long as it's a big shot in the entertainment industry, most of them graduated from here, Zhang Yinghao answered. Gu Qingshan fell into thought. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit. Where did he go? Zhang Yinghao asked. I went to the Hall of Honor to take a look, Gu Qingshan answered. Ah, that's right, there's a lot of props used by famous performers in history. It's worth a look, Zhang Yinghao was surprised. Yeah, it's worth watching, Gu Qingshan also said. There was still a notification on the War God UI. Paid 300 soul points, remaining soul points for an entire afternoon. Gu Qingshan has passed all performance tests. At night. On the shuttle back to the mountain villa. I really can't believe it, Zhang Young-ho said. That's right, did you cheat? Yi Fei-li also asked. Talent. Gu Qingshan said shamelessly. But since you have graduated, are you going to act as that person immediately? Zhang Young-ho asked. No, I plan to stay a bit longer, Gu Qingshan said. Why? I feel a little uneasy, Gu Qingshan said unnaturally. The shuttle landed. At this time, the sky was already dark, but there were flames floating outside the villa. Liao Xing had a cigarette in his mouth, squatting on the ground to burn joss paper. Mourning for your loved ones? Gu Qingshan asked. Tang Jun, a brother of mine, Liao Xing answered. That name sounds familiar, I think he's a scientist of some sort, Yi Fei-li asked. That's right, he's a geneticist, I'm a chemist, there's no competition in terms of academics, so we slowly became friends. After Liao Xing finished burning the joss paper, he stood up and dusted himself off. When I was being chased by the 9 lords, it was thanks to him that I was able to fake my death and escape. Everyone patted him on the shoulder to comfort him. That night, Liao Xing was completely drunk. After dinner, Gu Qingshan returned to her room. A black suitcase was silently sitting on the table. Sir, your genetic serum has been prepared, Impartial Goddess reported. Gu Qingshan opened the suitcase to take a look. There were 2 rows of genetic serum inside. The top row was red, the bottom row was blue. Impartial Goddess voice came. To ensure that you can switch identities at will, I've prepared a few extra serums for you to use at any time. Thank you. Gu Qingshan put the suitcase away. He looked at the War God UI and went silent. Everything was prepared, if not for so many things happening right after he came back, he would have already returned to the space-time vortex. An extremely powerful world was waiting for him on the other side, so he has to be careful in order to save his own life. But right now, he can't leave yet. The cold rain was still falling outside the window. Impartial Goddess, sir? The satellite shows White Ocean Lake, Songlan River, and Murky Clouds River. These were the first places where the frost calamity broke out in the past life. Very well, Impartial Goddess replied. The screen was turned on. The satellite showed the situation of the 3 bodies of water from above. There was no ice on the surface. At Songlan River, the army was retreating. What's going on? Gu Qingshan was surprised. To prevent the sea beasts from entering the mainland, the president personally approved the surveillance measures. Now that the surveillance has been completed, the army is retreating. Send a small surveillance robot into the water to check, Gu Qingshan said. He was still worried, so he decided to do a thorough check. In the past life, these 3 places were the first to show signs of the disaster. In the sky, hundreds of black shadows fell into the 3 bodies of water and into the depths of the water. At the depths of the dark water, a light came on. The underwater surveillance robot turned on its light and began to slowly swim around. The investigation began. Almost at the same time, at White Ocean Lake and Murky Clouds River, the ice that was slowly solidifying seemed to have sensed the robot's approach and quickly dissipated. As if they were alive or had a mind of their own, they managed to avoid the robot. Only Tsanglan River didn't have any ice at all. Impartial Goddess spoke. "Well, sir, the 3 bodies of water are very large, so investigation will take some time. There is no need for you to keep waiting." "Very well," Gu Qingshan casually replied, then fell into thought. If it really is that disaster, how long can humanity survive? With the current number of human combatants, including myself, we won't be able to fight forever. Even if I discover this disaster before it happens, what can I do? With humanity's strength, there's no way we can win against this disaster. Never mind this world, even in the past life, hundreds of millions of cultivator players couldn't win against this disaster. Countless soul formation stage players had no choice but to fight to the death in the face of this disaster. This is the true apocalypse. Chapter 370. Gu Qingshan sighed. He needs to quickly finish the Sword Saint Awakening quest. The strength of a Sword Saint from the past life, combined with his understanding of swordsmanship in this life, the 2 of them will greatly increase his strength. Right now, he can only take it 1 step at a time. Thinking that, Gu Qingshan asked, "How's the gathering of materials?" "We're still missing 3, 2 of which the corresponding materials haven't been found in this world," Impartial Goddess answered. "Out of the dozens of materials, only 3 are left?" Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. "Let me see which 3." The screen turned on, showing the list of materials. 3 of them were marked in red, indicating that they haven't been collected yet. Zeolite, blue silver ore, sun moon blood. Gu Qingshan muttered. "Yes, zeolite and blue silver ore don't exist in any known materials," Impartial Goddess answered. "Since they don't exist in reality, that's a bit hard to find." Gu Qingshan took out the 7-colored fragrance bag and scanned it with his inner sight, searching for these 2 materials. "I got it." Gu Qingshan's eyes lit up. He took out 2 raw ores from the bag and put them on the ground. The cultivation world just happens to have these 2 materials. The remaining material is called Sun Moon Blood, but it doesn't exist in the cultivation world. Seems like this is a material unique to Shenwu world, but I don't know if it exists in reality or not. Gu Qingshan asked. "There's still Sun Moon Blood left. What's the situation with this material?" Impartial Goddess answered. "The world has never produced this material before, but 4,000 years ago, during a large meteor shower, someone found this material among the meteors." "Ah? That's interesting. Can we still find it now?" Gu Qingshan asked. Impartial Goddess projected a picture. "On the entire planet, there's only a single piece of this material," Impartial Goddess answered. Gu Qingshan looked at the beautiful crown in the picture. It was a pure gold crown with 12 sharp points, and a round, flawless jewel was mounted on it. He looked at the glowing jewel on the crown, and for a moment, he could not come back to his senses. The only piece of Sun Moon Blood in the world, embedded in the Fuxi Empire's crown, Impartial Goddess replied. Gu Qingshan crossed her arms and sighed. "This is not going to be easy." He looked at the war god Ui. The Sword Saint Awakening quest was still hanging in the middle of the interface. Mission 1. Obtain 2 swords, undamaged. Even if it was difficult, it had to be done. The mission had to be completed. Gu Qingshan stared at the mission for a while, then picked up the communicator. Soon, the communication was connected. A deep voice rang out, "Little Scientist Gu, have you set off?" This was the Fuxi Emperor's voice. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised, then remembered that she and Anna promised to go to the Fuxi Empire's Emperor's Palace for a vacation. Not really. Anna has something to do for the time being, so I wanted to come here first. Gu Qingshan said. You're always welcome. Shall I send a shuttle to pick you up now? The Emperor didn't ask Anna and said directly. Is it too troublesome? How about I go there myself? Gu Qingshan said. That would be a bit hard on you, the Emperor muses. Gu Qingshan replied. It's not hard at all, it would be very troublesome for us to go through the official channels, the Emperor agreed. That's true, your Federation clearly has impartial goddess, but it's always so slow to do anything. Even a diplomatic visit can take up to half a month, how inefficient. He didn't hide it at all. If impartial goddess was in Fuxi, I would have already unified the world. Gu Qingshan smiled bitterly. Then I'll be leaving, I'll arrive later today. Very well, I'll be waiting for you at the palace, the Emperor said. The call ended. Gu Qingshan left. A large interstellar warship peeked out from the clouds. This one won't do, Gu Qingshan sighed. Sir, with your identity, only this one is worthy of your visit, impartial goddess said. I'll be going in secret, I don't want the Federation to react too strongly, so give me another one, Gu Qingshan said. Understood, impartial goddess replied. The large interstellar warship flew away. A silver streamlined shuttle flew through the clouds, nimbly landing in front of Gu Qingshan. This one's a bit cool, Gu Qingshan evaluated the shuttle. The newest model, just passed a series of tests, speed and safety verified, impartial goddess replied. All right, Gu Qingshan entered the shuttle. The shuttle lightly hovered in the air, entering flight mode. Accelerate and accelerate. Boom. After the sonic boom, the shuttle disappeared without a trace. Inside the shuttle. The Federation will definitely know about my meeting with the Fuxi Emperor, Gu Qingshan said. That's right, that's very easy to obtain, impartial goddess replied. Let's find an overseas program that doesn't require manual verification. I'll apply for it, Gu Qingshan said. Charity is the fastest, and doesn't require manual verification, then charity it is. Use my credits to donate a school to a rural area of the Fuxi Empire. Understood, I'm working on it. Not too long after, the shuttle entered the Fuxi Empire's territory. The shuttle's communicator suddenly rang. Gu Qingshan picked it up. The screen turned on. A fully armed, middle-aged military officer was staring at Gu Qingshan. This is the Fuxi Empire's border fortress, please identify yourself, otherwise we will shoot you down. The middle-aged officer said. I'm Gu Qingshan, I have an appointment with your country's emperor, Gu Qingshan replied. The middle-aged officer's stern expression loosened. He smiled. So it's your excellency Gu Qingshan, please continue your flight, don't I need to verify my identity? Gu Qingshan asked. Impartial goddess has already verified your identity, and His Majesty has also stated that you are an esteemed guest. No formalities are required, the middle-aged officer replied. I wish you a pleasant journey. The middle-aged officer hung up. Gu Qingshan piloted the shuttle and continued to fly forward. A few moments later, 12 combat shuttles were catching up from behind. 6 combat shuttles lined up on either side of him, while the other 6 were flying in front of him. The communicator rang again. Hello, sir, we will be escorting you to His Majesty's palace, a voice spoke. Thank you, Gu Qingshan replied. Hanging up, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but shake his head. 12 escort shuttles, this is the best treatment the Fuxi Empire can offer. His Majesty, the Emperor, is truly a person who's willing to part with his capital. A few hours later, the shuttle flew past over half of Fuxi Empire, peeking out from the clouds. Below them was a vast desert. In the middle of the endless desert there was an oasis. In the middle of the oasis were rows of palaces. The Emperor's palace was here. When they were about 10 miles away from the oasis, the shuttle was guided to descend. As Gu Qingshan stepped out of the shuttle, there were already people holding up umbrellas to protect him from the rain. The desert has always been a hot place, but after being showered by the rain, it felt incredibly cool. A group of camels were waiting outside. On each camel's back was a comfortable seat, with a canopy over the seat to protect them from the sun or rain. A ceremonial officer led the camels in front of Gu Qingshan. "Sir, the area ahead is a no-fly zone, please follow me," the ceremonial officer smiled and said. "Very well," Gu Qingshan replied. He got on the camel and walked side by side with the ceremonial officer. "Knowing that you're coming, His Majesty is very happy and moved tomorrow's banquet to today," the ceremonial officer smiled and said. "It's my honor, but what does His Majesty plan to do tomorrow?" Gu Qingshan asked. "Tomorrow's banquet will still be held," the ceremonial officer answered. Chapter 371. This place isn't too far away from the oasis. Gu Qingshan and the ceremonial officer were casually talking as they walked forward. Soon enough they could see the large palace in the middle of the oasis. "We're currently preparing your banquet attire. After you've met His Majesty, you can choose your clothes. Please follow me," the ceremonial officer said. "Thank you," Gu Qingshan smiled and said. The Oasis Palace. His Majesty, the Emperor, and 7 to 8 other officials were talking in the meeting room. Led by the ceremonial officer, Gu Qingshan came in. "Greetings, Your Majesty," Gu Qingshan bowed. Young man, you're getting more and more spirited," the Emperor observed him and smiled. "The banquet is about to begin, go change your clothes and go straight to the banquet hall." 2 maids came forward to greet Gu Qingshan and softly said, "Please follow me." Gu Qingshan already has a favor to ask of the Emperor, and with so many people here, she couldn't say anything, not to mention the Emperor's hospitality, so she could only follow him down to change. A total of 15 fushi upper-class banquet attire were placed in front of Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan picked out the simplest one and was helped by the 2 maids to put it on. Another 2 maids carried a large full-length mirror and shone it at Gu Qingshan. His eyebrows were sharp like swords, his eyes were cold and indifferent. His entire person looked clean, but also carried a unique presence. "Thank you, everyone," Gu Qingshan said. The maids looked at the person in the mirror, blushed and giggled. "Your Majesty's presence is unparalleled." Gu Qingshan also smiled and casually asked, "Why don't I see your Empress?" It was an ordinary, harmless question. Someone immediately answered, "Empress just woke up, she's currently dressing up." The changing room went silent for a second. Gu Qingshan looked at herself in the mirror and asked, "I've already changed my clothes, do I need to change my shoes as well?" The palace maids heaved a sigh of relief. "We still have to dance in a while, so we have to change our shoes. Please wait a moment." 2 palace maids went to fetch the boot. "Thank you, I personally prefer black, brown, and navy boots," said Gu Qingshan. The palace maids looked at each other. It seemed that the Emperor's guest cared a lot about boot. If that was the case, he would have to bring a few more pairs of boots for the guests to choose carefully. "Please wait a moment, we will go get it," a palace maid said. "All right, there's no hurry." Gu Qingshan smiled and sat down comfortably on the sofa. The palace maids bowed slightly and left. Gu Qingshan picked up a cup of drink on the tea table, took a sip, and quietly thought about the details just now. The Emperor of the Empire was not a close person. Perhaps at some point the Emperor would laugh, but he would not be smiling all the time. His heart was cold. He was never easy to please, and he would never please anyone. But today, he laughed too many times. Other than that, he didn't see Empress around. Empress had just woken up and was doing her makeup. The banquet is about to start, but Empress only just woke up. Why? The palace maids returned. Gu Qingshan put the drink back and smiled as he stood up. With the help of the palace maids, he picked out a pair of boots, put them on, and walked out. "When will the banquet start?" he asked. The palace maids answered, "When you appear in the banquet hall." They escorted Gu Qingshan out. The banquet hall's door was pushed open. Gu Qingshan walked in. The emperor was sitting on his throne, seeing this, so he gestured to the ceremonial officer next to him. The ceremonial officer gestured. The musicians began to play. The dancers began to dance. A long-haired woman sang at the top of her lungs. The circus performance began. Spitting fire. Juggling. Farce. Celebrities chatting with one another. Such a chaotic banquet had always been the Fuxi Emperor's style. Because these were all things that he liked. He liked to put everything that made him happy right in front of him. People crowded around the emperor, trying to flatter him with words of flattery. Although this banquet was as chaotic as a market, the atmosphere was actually quite good. Gu Qingshan was led to the emperor by the ceremonial officer. The emperor pushed aside the courting officials in front of him and evaluated Gu Qingshan. "Look, what a handsome young man. If it weren't for Anna making the first move, I'd really like to introduce you to my princess," the emperor teased him. The surrounding people immediately roared with laughter. Gu Qingshan took a glass of wine from the tray next to him. "Your Majesty, thank you for your grand reception today." He raised his glass to the emperor and drank it all. Hearing that, the Fuxi Emperor also raised his glass and took a sip. "Don't be shy, do as you please here. I hope you'll have a good time tonight," the emperor smiled. "I came here this time because there's something I want to talk to you about." Gu Qingshan was about to get straight to the point. The emperor waved his hand dismissively. "There's no need to rush, let's first enjoy this wonderful night. If there's anything else, we'll talk about it tomorrow." Gu Qingshan had no choice but to stop talking. He was silently feeling strange. The Fuxi Emperor has always been a practical person. If there's something important, he'll immediately get serious. But now isn't the time to think about that. In front of everyone's eyes, Gu Qingshan took another glass and smiled. "Then I'll listen to your Majesty. This glass is for your Majesty. I hope the empire will become stronger and that every citizen can enjoy their dignity and freedom." Gu Qingshan drank it all in one gulp. The Fuxi Emperor's smile became even brighter, clapping his hands. "Very well." He also drank the wine in his cup in one gulp. Looking at him, Gu Qingshan felt an inexplicable sense of unease. The Fuxi Emperor has always wanted the empire to maintain a stable development. He hates freedom the most. When the emperor went to the Freedom Federation for a meeting, he didn't even stay at the Freedom Hotel, preferring to set up a tent on the lawn of the International Convention Center. Freedom is a word he hates. Just now I purposely said something wrong. But when the Fuxi Emperor heard that, he happily drank his glass of wine. "What's going on? Go eat something, then go dance. I'm sure a lot of noble ladies and young ladies have their eyes on you already," the emperor said. Gu Qingshan maintained her smile, and was about to leave when a beautiful woman with an elegant demeanor walked into the banquet hall. She was wearing a small and exquisite crown on her head. Everyone made way for her and bowed to greet her. "The Fuxi Empire's Empress has arrived. Verona is here, just in time for you to meet her," the emperor said. Empress's name is Verona, a member of the Holy Empire's Medici clan, the Holy Empire's emperor's younger sister, as well as Anna's aunt. "Little scientist Gu, we meet again?" Empress smiled as she walked over. She extended her hand to Gu Qingshan. The Holy Empire's hand-kissing ceremony. In the Fuxi Empire, it's a bit inappropriate to do the Holy Empire's ceremony, but since she's a member of the Holy Empire's royal family, no one can say anything about it. Gu Qingshan took Empress's hand and kissed it. "It's only been a few days, Your Highness Empress is even more elegant than before," Gu Qingshan said. Chapter 372. Gu Qingshan glanced at Empress and thought of something. It's a bit strange that Empress came to the banquet with 2 dark circles under her eyes. But she's a professionist. For something like this to happen, it can only be because she's been staying up all night and her body can't take it anymore. She's been staying up all night? Without knowing it, Gu Qingshan became cautious. Something's not right. While he was thinking, Empress spoke up. She intimately held the Emperor's hand, smiled charmingly at him, then looked at Gu Qingshan. Last time at the Federation, His Majesty kept inviting you here, but I didn't think you'd come, so I just watched from the sidelines. I hope Scientist Gu doesn't mind, Empress said. Hearing that, Gu Qingshan smiled and quickly replied, I don't mind, I've always admired heroes like His Majesty, so even if you didn't say anything, I would have still come. The Emperor's expression showed that he was seriously listening. But neither of them said anything else. Gu Qingshan once again raised her glass. To His Majesty's eternal life, to Empress's eternal beauty, the Emperor smiled and said, Who can truly live for 10,000 years? But I like what you said. He took the glass from Empress's hand and downed it all at once. The Empress also picked up a glass of wine and took a sip. Returning the empty glass to Empress, the Fuxi Emperor asked, Today is Scientist Gu's first time here, why don't you dance with him for the first time? Empress didn't even look at Gu Qingshan and only smiled at the Emperor. I don't want to dance today, then what do you want to do? Empress then turned to the Emperor and everyone else. I'm going to play some cards, you guys enjoy yourselves, playing all night again? Look at yourself, your dark circles are about to pop out, the Emperor smiled and asked. I lost so much yesterday, I have to win it back today, darling, can you let me go? Empress begged. Come and take a picture with our scientists, and then you can go. The Emperor agreed readily. The Emperor casually waved his hand, and a few officials in charge of the royal family's press release immediately appeared. Mr. Gu, please stand closer to His Majesty, an official said. The Emperor held out his hand. Gu Qingshan could only hold his hand. Empress stood beside the Emperor. The three of them faced the press officer and waited for the photo to be taken. 3, 2, 1. Long live His Majesty! The perfect diplomatic news photo was born. Then I'll go play cards. Empress left in a hurry after she finished speaking. She didn't look at Gu Qingshan again. The Emperor said to the press officer, Publish it immediately. Your Majesty, what do you mean? The official replied. The Emperor thought for a bit and said, A charity banquet. After all, our young scientist Gu had just donated a school to our remote mountainous region. Gu Qingshan thought to herself that the news was really fast. In a bit, I'll also set up a charity bursary fund. The Emperor looked at Gu Qingshan and smiled. Yes, Your Majesty is wise, saying so, the official bowed and left. At this point, the tune for the first dance began to play. The Emperor then told Gu Qingshan, You should go and have some fun as well, I hope you'll have a wonderful night. Yes, Your Majesty, Gu Qingshan smiled. He walked down the stairs step by step, came in front of a beautiful girl, and politely invited her for the first dance. The beautiful girl was a bit troubled and turned to look at the Emperor. The Emperor nodded. The beautiful girl had no choice but to accept Gu Qingshan's invitation and followed him onto the dance floor. I'm only giving face to father after this dance, I hope you'll know your place and stop bothering me, the beautiful girl smiled and quickly said. No one else could hear what she said, but from her expression, they would think that she was having a normal conversation. Very well, Gu Qingshan happily nodded. The music began to move. The first dance officially began. Gu Qingshan held the princess' hand and began to dance. At this point, he confirmed something. Verona Empress is a very smart person. She only said a few words to expose the truth to Gu Qingshan, then left without hesitation. Last time at the Federation, the Emperor kept inviting you here, but I didn't think you'd come, so I just watched from the sidelines. I hope little scientist Gu doesn't mind, that was what she said, but in reality, she didn't just watch from the sidelines. Gu Qingshan still remembered that she tried her best to convince them to come for a holiday. He remembered the exact words she said. 2 weeks from now, it will be the hottest time of the year. When you arrive, we'll go spend the summer at the palace in the north. The weather there is quite nice, you can hunt during the day and have a ball at night. If the weather is good, you can even use a telescope to observe space monsters. which means everything she said just now was wrong. But the Emperor didn't react to that at all, he even smiled. What exactly is going on here? Others might think that women are fickle and always do whatever they want, but Gu Qingshan already knew a bit about Empress through Anna. In a formal situation, she's a royal woman who pays a lot of attention to her manners. Did something happen between the Emperor and Empress? If it was only a conflict between the Emperor and Empress, or some other political struggle, Gu Qingshan wouldn't care at all. But there's definitely something wrong with the Emperor. Gu Qingshan was thinking, a bit hesitant. He carefully followed the princess's rhythm and began to dance. Originally, I only came here to make a deal. Whether it's a scientific research patent or a cultivation scripture, I'm sure the Fuxi Emperor would consider it. But now, other than a deal, there seems to be something else going on. He suddenly remembered something. In the past life, the frost calamity seemed to have started from the Fuxi Empire? The song ended at this point. The princess brushed his hand off without saying a word, left the dance floor and walked towards a tall and handsome Fuxi military officer. Gu Qingshan turned around, found a secluded corner and slowly drank a glass of liquor. At this point, the Emperor entered the dance floor, hugging a beautiful noblewoman, and began to dance. The atmosphere of the banquet reached its climax. Gu Qingshan called a waiter, politely asked where the washroom was and left. He went into the washroom, closed the door and took out a ball of paper. When he kissed his hand, Empress quickly gave him the ball of paper. Gu Qingshan opened it. The death's relic is in Anna's hands. It was a simple sentence. Gu Qingshan looked at it for a bit before putting it away. This sentence was also very well said. First of all, even if the note was found, it's an internal matter of the Medici clan. No one has any reason to interfere. Secondly, Anna only took the death's relic from Gu Qingshan when the trial was about to begin. Such a secret, only Zhang Yongho and the others know about it. And now Empress also knows that it was Anna who told her everything. Empress wanted to emphasize her close relationship with Anna. They were the last two ladies of the Medici clan. So this ball of paper was used to gain Gu Qingshan's trust. After that, Verona Empress told Gu Qingshan in front of the Emperor to point out the problem. Combined together, it's a completely new sentence. You have to believe me, there's something wrong with the Emperor. Gu Qingshan fell into thought. He muttered. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. The Fuxi Emperor is a powerful professionist. Almost no one would be able to sneak past his many layers of security to do anything to such a world-class combatant. Perhaps the Emperor had hidden it from everyone and was making some kind of plan. Gu Qingshan sighed. Everything is wrong now. Verona Empress is Anna's aunt. If something happens, I have to save her. If that's the case, Gu Qingshan released his inner sight. As an ascended realm cultivator, his inner sight can cover a large area. The people of this world don't even know what inner sight is, and no one knows how to counter it. Gu Qingshan's inner sight easily scanned through the entire palace, then continued to expand outwards. Chapter 373. The Federation. The Mountaintop Mansion. Zhang Yongho and Gu Qingshan weren't here. When Yi Feili came out of her room, she saw Liao Xing sitting on the sofa. Liao Xing was drinking while watching TV. The TV was broadcasting the news of the Federation's election. Two hosts were interviewing a presidential candidate. Our president is about to be re-elected. Do you have the confidence to beat him? One of the hosts asked. I'll have to try, after all. I also want to stand up and do more for the people. The presidential candidate smiled and said. Yi Feili walked over and sat next to Liao Xing. Why haven't you been watching TV lately? He asked. I'm not in the mood. Liao Xing took a sip of his liquor. Yi Feili suddenly noticed a book next to Liao Xing's hand. Genetic theory? Yi Feili asked. Yeah, it's the work of my old friend. To be honest, he's the #1 expert when it comes to genetics. No one can compare to him, Liao Xing answered. Seeing how depressed he was, Yi Fei said, "You two must have a good relationship." "I did. When I was being hunted by the 9 lords and had nowhere else to go, it was old Tang who saved me," Liao Xing answered. "I heard from Qing Shan that you used a clone body to create the illusion of being killed and escaped. What does that have to do with your friend?" Yi Fei couldn't help but ask. Liao Xing patted the book, Genetic Theory. "I understand, he was the one who provided you with the clone." Yi Fei was surprised. He was a bit interested. "Even I know that the success rate of human cloning is extremely low. Even if it succeeds, there will be a lot of diseases and birth defects, and every country has banned this kind of research." "How did he do it?" "Cloning based on appearance is the easiest," Liao Xing answered. "Stamina, IQ, and memory are the hardest of which is memory. Other than Old Tang, no one has ever succeeded. Only when the clone has the same memory as the original can it be considered a perfect clone. Without memory, the clone only has the same physiological characteristics, but in essence, it's already a completely different person." "Then what about organs? Isn't it easy to clone an organ?" "The current medical system doesn't prohibit this," Yi Fei said. "Of course organs are easy. Old Tang is a leader in both biology and medicine," Liao Xing said. "Such a person must be very good at treating illnesses." Yi Fei sighed. Clang! The bottle fell to the ground. Liao Xing stood up abruptly. His face was terrifyingly dark. "That's right. How could someone like Tang Jun die of a heart attack?" Liao Xing took out his holobrain and said, "Impartial goddess." The AI didn't respond. "Impartial goddess, I'm here for official business. I swear in the name of a scientist." The AI lit up. "Mr. Liao, please go ahead," Impartial goddess replied. "I want to investigate all of the information left behind by Dr. Tang. Please help me," Liao Xing said. "Professor Tang has passed away. This type of file is locked. All access is denied," Impartial goddess replied. "This is related to a murder case. You have to help me," Liao Xing said. "I'm sorry, the file lock request came from the Federation's Intelligence Bureau. Mr. Liao's personal sequence is not enough to unlock the corresponding file," Impartial goddess replied. Liao Xing shouted, "He was killed, why are you ignoring it?" Impartial goddess replied, "Mr. Liao, I'll give you 3 answers, please think about it yourself. First, the incident is indeed suspicious. The second, I'm not an omnipotent god, and under normal circumstances, I still have to follow the Federation's laws. Finally, Mr. Liao, please take note, your authority is not enough to unlock the corresponding file." Liao Xing quickly shut his mouth. He came back to his senses and silently took out his communicator. Very quickly, Gu Qingshan's voice came. "What is it?" he asked in a low voice. He could faintly hear the music from Gu Qingshan's side. "I need your help," Liao Xing said. "Help you with what?" "Tang Jun's death is suspicious, but I don't have the authority to access all of his information. He's my brother, I want to find the murderer and avenge him." "Impartial goddess, I authorize Liao Xing to access all of Tang Jun's information." "Understood, sir." The call ended. Impartial goddess spoke. "Mr. Liao, the relevant file has been unlocked for you, please check." Liao Xing's hands quickly operated the holobrain, gritting his teeth. "Old Tang, no matter who killed you, I'll definitely avenge you." Fushi. The desert oasis. The palace. The emperor was still on the dance floor. Under the cover of the noblewoman's luxurious clothing, the emperor's hands were already about to touch her skin. The noblewoman showed a flattered smile and softly spoke. "Your Majesty." The emperor whispered, "Let's not talk, all right?" His hands didn't stop moving. The noblewoman blushed and nodded without saying anything. The dance continued. On another side, in a quiet chess room, Gu Qingshan's inner sight had arrived. Empress was playing cards with a few other noblewomen. "Are we going to play through the night again?" one of the noblewomen asked. "Of course, I'm going to beat you all today," Empress coldly replied. If you don't go with His Majesty tonight, will he be unhappy with us? Another noblewoman cautiously asked. He supports me to seek revenge against you, Empress replied. The noblewomen sighed in relief. Very well, Your Highness, I'll be waiting, one of them smiled and said. The noblewomen here were all true card lovers. During this time, they've been kept by Empress in the palace, eating and playing cards together, not complaining at all, instead feeling it was a great honor. Gu Qingshan was surprised. So that's why. No wonder the maid said that Empress had just woken up, so she's been playing cards every night. She didn't want to sleep with the Emperor, so she's playing cards with the noblewomen. Seems like there really is a problem. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then sent her voice to Empress from afar. I'm Gu Qingshan. As soon as the voice came, Empress's body stiffened in fear. But she quickly stood up and took off her coat. It's a bit hot, give me a thinner one. Empress waved her hand behind her and said. The maid came forward to take the coat, stepped back, and quickly came back with a new set of clothes. Empress slowly put on her coat. When she sat down again, she's already regained her composure. Empress's expression didn't change as she continued to draw her cards. Listen to me, I'll come find you tonight. Gu Qingshan continued to send her voice. Empress didn't seem to notice and drew a card. 3. Gu Qingshan continued. I'll give you a hint, invite them to supper, make an excuse to go to the kitchen to check on the food, then find a secluded place and we'll talk things over. The Empress listened quietly without any change in expression. It was her turn to draw her card again. The Empress picked up the card and saw that it was 80,000. Although this card can be paired, she doesn't want to play 7 pairs. She reached out her hand, ready to draw 80,000. If you're willing to see me, I'll play 9, Gu Qingshan said. Empress's hand stopped. She put down her card, picked up her teacup, and slowly took a sip. She's Empress, so none of her friends dared to rush her. Empress squinted her beautiful eyes, put the card 80,000 into her hand, and drew another card. Chapter 374. As soon as the 9 cards were played, the next player was about to raise his hand, but was interrupted by Empress's previous player. Let's touch, the previous player happily declared. After the previous player touched the 9 cards, he raised another card. It was Empress's turn again. She took a look at her card. It was another 80,000. 2 80,000 cards in a row, forming a pair of cards. Empress raised her eyebrows in surprise. Gu Qingshan's voice came again. I'll make an assumption. If the situation has worsened to the point where your life is in danger, please play 2 circle. Empress put 80,000 into her card. She looked at her card, picked up 2 circle, and played it without hesitation. 2 circle. Gu Qingshan's voice came again. I understand the situation, I'll come back later. An imperceptible breeze brushed past. Gu Qingshan's inner sight left this place. At the poker table, as Empress's next player was about to raise his hand, the previous player stopped him. Touch. Your Highness, why are you being so nice to me today? The previous player smiled and touched his card. The previous player casually raised his card. The previous player continuously raised their cards, causing the other 2 players to be unable to raise their card. Empress once again got the chance to raise her hand. The Empress picked up a card and was surprised to see it. 2, 7 pairs of self-draw. She flipped all the cards in front of her. Inside the poker room, everyone shuffled their cards and started a new round. As they played, Empress suddenly sighed. I really have to say, some young girls really do have good taste. When the players heard this, they were all baffled. Gu Qingshan opened the door, washed his hands and face, then left the men's washroom. Once again, he found an inconspicuous corner, ordered a bottle of liquor and an empty glass. Filling it up for himself, he took a sip. Gu Qingshan slowly drank his liquor, smiling curiously as he observed the distinguished guests of the banquet. He needed a bit of time to use his inner sight to scan the entire palace to see if anything was wrong. His phone rang. It was Liao Xing. What's wrong? Gu Qingshan asked in a low voice. Everything else is fine. Now I want to retrieve old Tang's laboratory data, but all of his experimental data has been erased. What do you need me to do? Gu Qingshan asked. Only impartial goddess can recover the relevant experimental data, but this is against the Federation's laws. I don't have the authority to do so, so impartial goddess won't respond to my request. Give him permission once, Gu Qingshan said. Understood, sir, impartial goddess replied. I owe you a favor, Liao Xing said and hung up in a hurry. Gu Qingshan poured herself another glass of wine. In this world, no one would be able to deal with a powerhouse like the Fuxi Emperor without leaving a trace. But the Fuxi Empire had always been calm and peaceful, without any disturbances. At this moment, Empress's life was in danger. In the entire Fuxi Empire, the only one who can push her to this point is the Emperor. For so long, even though the Fuxi Emperor and Empress's marriage was a political one, they've always been able to get along on the surface. Even in the past life, up until the last year of the apocalypse, there weren't any issues between them. Indeed, the Fuxi Emperor is an ambitious person, while Empress wants the world to remain stable. Only when other places are stable can she think of a way to help Anna fight against the Holy Empire. The Emperor and Empress's ambitions are different, but sometimes they're willing to compromise. In the past life, when the apocalypse came and calamities came one after another, after the Infinite Worlds game went online, everyone was busy trying to increase their strength. The Fuxi Emperor also found out that he's nothing in the cultivation world. Just like everyone else, the Emperor began to crazily pursue power. After all, the higher the realm of cultivation, not only does it increase a person's strength, it also increases their lifespan. A rejuvenation realm cultivator has a lifespan of 1,000 years. With such a good thing in front of him, the Emperor completely forgot about expanding the Empire's territory. And so his relationship with Empress was maintained. But in this life, the game hasn't arrived yet. Of course the Fuxi Emperor didn't change his mind. All of a sudden, a thought flashed through Gu Qingshan's mind. The calamity that came at the last moment of the apocalypse was the frost calamity. If the calamity this time really is the frost calamity, then it makes sense what the Emperor wants to do. After all, the frost calamity has several origins, one of which is in the Fuxi Empire. When this unique, irresistible calamity came, the Fuxi Emperor of the past life, as a cultivator, stood on humanity's side. Gu Qingshan raised his glass and took a sip. Then he had a thought. That's not necessarily the case. On the surface, the Emperor stands on humanity's side, but who knows what he's actually thinking? In the last few days of the past life, the world was slowly being destroyed, humanity was dying in battle one after another. Many of those who were still alive had already lost their mind. There were indeed people who sold their souls and surrendered to the calamity. If the frost calamity breaks out right now, what would the ambitious Fuxi Emperor do? Even the Nine Lords couldn't fight against this calamity. If they can get rid of the Nine Lords, how would the Emperor consider this? Gu Qingshan's gaze fell onto the dance floor and found the Emperor. His Majesty the Emperor was hugging a noblewoman and dancing. The noblewoman's face was flushed, obviously enjoying the feeling of being hugged by the Emperor. The Emperor isn't wearing his crown today. Gu Qingshan had an idea. It's not just about the Emperor, I also need that crown. No matter what, I have to get the sun-moon blood this time. Gu Qingshan took a sip of the liquor and stopped his inner sight search. Within his inner sight, there weren't any major problems with the palace. The only problem was that quite a few of the Empire's officials were here. Whenever the Emperor comes to the palace for vacation, he would always bring a few people with him to make it easier for him to deal with government affairs. But this time, almost half of the officials came with him. Gu Qingshan shook his head. At this point, a tall and handsome military man walked over. "Hello," the man said. "Hello, how can I help you?" "You're Gu Qingshan?" The Federation's mech expert? Yes, that's me. Her Royal Highness is still young. She didn't show you enough respect during the dance. I apologize on her behalf. It's fine, she's a great dancer. Which means you're in a relationship? Yes, I wish you happiness. Saying so, Gu Qingshan called a waiter over, took a glass of liquor and poured some ice into it. He poured a glass for the other party and offered it to him. Ah, thank you. The young man received the glass and looked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan's eyes were clear, her attitude was calm. The young man stopped thinking about her and had a good impression of Gu Qingshan. The two of them drank a glass together. The young man wanted to be friends, and Gu Qingshan spent a lot of time in Fushi in the past life, so she had no problems interacting with Fushi soldiers. The two of them quickly got to know each other. The princess wants me to challenge you to a duel in front of everyone. The young man appeared a bit helpless. Gu Qingshan immediately replied, I'm a scientist, not a professionist. The young man begrudgingly replied, That's right, as a professionist, if I challenge a brainiac, people will laugh at me. Then what do you mean? Gu Qingshan asked. Of course not, even if the princess blames me. I can't bully someone like you, the young man replied. I respect your decision. Power isn't meant to be used to bully the weak. Gu Qingshan praised him. You flatter me. The young man felt a bit embarrassed. Gu Qingshan went straight to the point. If I may ask, what is your job? The young man puffed out his chest and answered. I'm a royal guard, Gu Qingshan replied. So that's why in Fushi, only the descendants of aristocrats who are loyal to the royal family can become a royal guard. Being a royal guard is a special honor, a symbol of status, representing the face of the emperor. It was because of his illustrious background that this young man was able to receive the tacit approval of all parties to be in contact with the princess. Gu Qingshan smiled and asked, Your job as a royal guard must be pretty easy, right? It is, but a lot of the time we still have to go through the motions, stand around His Majesty and protect him, the young man replied. Both Gu Qingshan and the young man laughed. The Holy Empire's king likes to indulge in sensual pleasures, while the Federation's president is elected by the people. Neither of them are combatants. Only the Fushi Emperor is a powerful professionist. Most of the professionists in the world have already lost to him. Why would such a powerful combatant need a guard? Gu Qingshan poured him a glass of liquor. A toast to your powerful majesty, he said. A toast to His Majesty, the young man replied. The two of them drank the entire glass again. This was a very strong liquor, but Gu Qingshan is used to it, so she didn't have much of a reaction. Chapter 375. In the Grand Hall, music was playing. People were eating, drinking, dancing, laughing. The banquet was accompanied by a ball. The atmosphere was lively and cheerful, allowing everyone to immerse themselves in it. Gu Qingshan poured a glass of wine and gave it to the young soldier. The two of them drank another cup. His Majesty seems to be in a good mood recently, Gu Qingshan commented. The soldier unbuttoned the top button of his shirt and spoke in a relaxed tone. That's right, before coming to the palace, His Majesty went hunting in the mountains as usual and caught quite a bit of prey. From then on, His Majesty's mood improved a lot. Gu Qingshan smiled. You all went. The soldier answered uncomfortably. During that hunt, His Majesty didn't let us go with him, saying that too many people would scare away the prey and it wouldn't be fun. Gu Qingshan asked. Does His Majesty never let anyone follow him when he goes hunting? Not really, it was just that the day before yesterday, he didn't let us follow him because he was excited. He must have had a lot of fun, Gu Qingshan commented. That's right, he was all smiles when he came back. Gu Qingshan fell into thought. Humph, you didn't bet with him and instead chatted. What's the meaning of that? A female voice called out. The two of them turned to see that it was Her Highness the Princess. The princess glared angrily at the officer, then turned around and ran away. I'm sorry, the young soldier said. It's fine, Gu Qingshan generously waved her hand. The young soldier quickly chased after the princess. Hunting alone. Gu Qingshan muttered in a low voice. According to Verona Empress's hints, the emperor has become different from before. Because of this, Verona spent the entire night playing cards with other people to protect herself. If the emperor finds out that she noticed something, he'll definitely kill her to keep her quiet. The problem lies in the hunt. Gu Qingshan sat alone in a corner, slowly sipping his wine. When the ladies came to ask him to dance, he didn't refuse. When the celebrities talked to him, he would also pick up their conversation and talk about some interesting things. He completely immersed himself into this banquet, into Fushi's upper society. He silently waited for the banquet to end. Late at night, as the music ended, the banquet came to an end. Many people were drunk and sent to their rooms to rest. Gu Qingshan was arranged to rest in a room. He stood still in the room and released his divine sense to scan the entire palace. The young nobles found a small hall and continued to drink and chat. The young officer and the Fushi princess were also present. They were full of energy and fun. As Gu Qingshan's spiritual sense swept across, they did not sense it at all. The meeting hall of the temporary imperial residence was brightly lit. Although it was late at night, the emperor was still discussing matters with several close ministers. In the chess room, the game continued. Empress played a card. 5 circles. A noblewoman smiled and said, "Hu, Ka Wu Tao." Empress said, "I didn't expect to lose so much again today." Gu Qingshan's voice was heard. Empress pushed her cards and stood up. "I'm a little hungry. You guys go to the kitchen and see if there are any snacks that suit your appetite. Pick some over and we'll continue playing after supper." "Thank you, Your Highness." The noblewomen stood up and bowed. Such a small matter would normally be handled by the maids. However, the Empress allowed them to choose the supper that suited their taste, which was also a kind of considerate act. Not to mention, playing cards is just playing cards, there are still rules and etiquette that they can't ignore. The 3 noblewomen were led away by the maids. "You can leave as well, I'll be quiet for a bit," Empress ordered. The palace maids who were serving at the side retreated. The chess room became silent. Gu Qingshan's voice came again. "Your Highness, please tell me the details now." Empress looked at the heir and quickly explained. "The day before yesterday, His Majesty went hunting alone, but when he returned he was completely different. I could tell that he was a bit different at first glance, but he wasn't wounded, and his power as a top-tier combatant didn't change at all, so I didn't think it was a big deal. Does he know that you noticed?" Gu Qingshan asked. "I've been behaving normally and haven't done anything out of line, but after that, his words and actions became more and more unlike him, so I knew that there must be something wrong with him. In fact, he was very happy to play cards with me, because that way, I wouldn't be able to find out more of his secrets, and we would be able to live in peace for now." "Live in peace for now? Do you think he'll kill you?" Gu Qingshan asked. Empress's expression was resolute as she spoke. "When he's fully prepared, he'll definitely come to kill me." "Why?" "As the person who sleeps with him, I know a lot of his secrets, and I'm his only weakness." "So you're saying that your thoughts are different?" "That's right, I only want to maintain the stability of the empire, but he wants more than that," Empress continued. "I'll become the obstacle to his ambitions." Gu Qingshan suddenly asked, "Do you know where the Fushi crown is?" Empress was a bit surprised and asked, "There are 3 crowns, which one are you talking about?" "The one in the middle is embedded with a gem from the universe. I'm the one who took care of the crown and the Emperor's scepter." "Of course I know, I want the gem on the crown." "Go get the crown, we're leaving right away. Can you save me?" Empress asked. Her expression was calm. "I've heard Anna talk about how miraculous you are, but if you can't do it, don't try to save me so easily. Otherwise, if you can't react in time, you'll also die. Do you still care about my life or death?" Gu Qingshan asked. "If there's no hope, I hope that I'm the only one who dies." Empress was very calm, as if she's already thought this through. "Why?" If you die, it'll definitely affect Anna greatly. She's currently at the most crucial point of her life. There's no room for anything to go wrong with her mentality, Empress answered. She's our Medici clan's last hope. That's why, if you're not confident, you don't need to care about my life or death. Just find a chance to leave and tell her the truth later on. Gu Qingshan was filled with respect. As long as I want to save you, no one will be able to stop me, he said. A knock came from the door as someone reported in a low voice. Come in. 2 maids came in, kneeling down to greet her. Supper has been prepared. The 3 ladies are waiting for you, Empress said. I'm suddenly not hungry anymore. Let them eat, then come back and play cards. Yes, the 2 maids exchanged looks and left. Empress waited for a while, stood up, and left through another door. She kept walking until she reached a room. Leave, Empress ordered. Yes, Your Highness, the 2 guards replied. They bowed, carefully left, and closed the door behind them. Empress walked to the wall and opened a secret compartment. The Fushi crown inlaid with the blood of the sun and moon silently sat inside. Next to the crown was a scepter. Empress looked at the scepter in shock, a hint of fear in her eyes. The scepter of the Fushi Empire's emperor, made from pure gold, the top of the scepter was carved with a human head, staring straight ahead. This head belonged to the Fushi Empire's founding emperor. When the founding emperor died, he requested for his entire head to be melded into the scepter, wrapped in gold, and carved into the shape of a scepter to be passed down to the next emperor. This meant that although he had passed away, he was still watching over his descendants to see if they were qualified to be emperors. Even now, the pure gold scepter is still here, but the founding emperor's head is nowhere to be seen. Do you know about this? Gu Qingshan asked. I don't, Empress answered. Could it be that the emperor took it without telling you? Gu Qingshan asked. I've always been the one arranging these things, Empress controlled her emotions and took out the crown. She tried not to look at the scepter. After all, this matter was too strange. Chapter 376. Gu Qingshan's inner sight scanned the golden scepter. The place where the scepter and the emperor's head met was smooth and clean, clearly cut off by someone using a sharp weapon. Who would give up the entire golden scepter just to take a dead man's head? Gu Qingshan's uneasy feeling became heavier and heavier. Even with a combatant of the emperor's caliber, the palace's defenses are still very strong. Only a top-level combatant would be able to sneak into the palace. He still needs to familiarize himself with the palace's defenses, avoid the powerful emperor, and know where Empress's belongings are stored. Among all the combatants in the world, who would spend so much effort just to steal the Fushi Empire's founding emperor's head? Gu Qingshan sighed. This matter has already gotten away from the conflict between the emperor and empress. He's decided to get involved. Your Highness, the Emperor is currently summoning his subordinates for a meeting. Please bring the crown to the Emperor and place it on his table, Gu Qingshan said. I understand, I'll go right away. Empress was a bit confused, but still replied. She held the crown with both hands and walked out the door. Guards, Empress ordered. The 2 palace guards made a hand gesture. 18 palace guards appeared in the surroundings without a sound. A total of 20 guards followed Empress to the Emperor's room. The conference room. The Fushi Emperor was standing in the middle, talking to his subordinate. The door opened. Empress walked in, holding the crown. What are you doing? The Fushi Emperor squinted his eyes and asked. Empress smiled and told him. I'm afraid you've forgotten, you'll be meeting the Holy Empire and Federation's VIPs tomorrow. Remember to wear this. The Emperor also smiled and replied. You're too considerate. Empress put the crown on the table behind the Emperor and said, Then I'll go play cards. Go ahead. Empress bowed and gracefully left the conference room. The Emperor stared at her back, a bit lost in thought. Where were we just now? He asked. Your Majesty, we were just talking about having the ministers come to the temporary imperial residence for an audience, an elderly minister said. Yes, have everyone come. I need to summon them, the Emperor said. The crown lay quietly on the table behind him, side by side with a seal. Time passed slowly. Deep into the night, the emperor finally finished speaking. The ministers took their leave. The door to the meeting hall was closed. The emperor stood there alone, quietly thinking about the matter in his heart. On the table behind him, Gu Qingshan's divine telekinesis lightly brushed past. The next moment, one of the seals suddenly disappeared. Gu Qingshan appeared where the seal originally was. Divine skill, shadow shift. You can exchange positions with any being within the range of your divine sense. Gu Qingshan stood on the table. He held out his hand. The crown floated up and landed in his hand. His other hand reached into the void of space and grabbed the earth sword. Gu Qingshan held the crown in one hand and the sword in the other, silently standing on the table. He didn't make any sound, only silently staring at the emperor's back. 1 breath, 2 breath, 3 breath. The emperor didn't react at all. Gu Qingshan's expression changed a bit. Even though I've concealed my presence, the emperor shouldn't be acting like this. The emperor exudes the pressure of a fifth-stage professionist, yet he didn't notice my arrival at all. An expert should always be aware of the movements in his surroundings. This is the most basic of precautions. But the emperor is acting like a person without any battle experience at all. Gu Qingshan noticed something and recalled something that happened before. See, Emperor Li Dongyuan was sent flying with a single strike. The Sea Emperor is a Navy Admiral of the Federation, completely unrelated to the Fuxi Emperor. But between the two of them, one couldn't even tell if the attack was real or fake, while the other didn't even know he was behind his back. What exactly happened? This has nothing to do with any of the apocalypse's disasters. There are no disasters that can turn a person like this. As Gu Qingshan stared at the emperor, he felt an invisible shadow in his heart that he couldn't get rid of. Even in both of his lives, he's never experienced anything like this before. In the past life, most of his focus was on the cultivation world. After all, he entered the world half a year later than everyone else. If he didn't put his life on the line, he wouldn't have been able to catch up. Later on, when he led the country's guild to war, it was also as a commander. Every day, he was busy leading troops into battle. Although he had some contact with the top political figures of various countries, he didn't go too deep. But humanity's top officials never had any problems. Even the frost calamity didn't have such an effect on humanity's top officials. After all, when the frost calamity appeared, it was already the last few days of the apocalypse. And in this life, who exactly is the one controlling everything? All of a sudden, Gu Qingshan's communicator vibrated. The emperor's body slightly moved. No matter how careless he was still a powerful fifth-stage professionist, so he was able to sense something. But it was too late. Gu Qingshan disappeared from the table and reappeared behind the emperor. Ground shrink. Gu Qingshan lightly knocked the earth sword against the ground. The earth sword's grasp of propriety is truly miraculous. The emperor fell to the ground and fell unconscious. Gu Qingshan took out his communicator. "What is it?" he asked. "Tang Jun. It's about Tang Jun. I feel like his death isn't just murder anymore, I have to tell you." Liao Xing breathed heavily. "Go ahead," Gu Qingshan said. Tang Jun had always been providing the president with cloned bodies to help him fend off all sorts of assassination attempts, but he was once kidnapped by the Fuxi Empire. Gu Qingshan's heart jumped. So that's why. No wonder the president was able to survive so many assassination attempts without dying. The one who died in his place was a clone. So the president had always been using this method to fend off the Nine Lords' attack. What are the characteristics of the cloned bodies? Gu Qingshan quickly asked. Memory. The hardest part of human cloning is memory. The clone's memory will definitely have problems. Liao Xing replied. Without hesitation, Gu Qingshan put her hand on the emperor's head. Soul reading. After a while, Gu Qingshan pulled her hand back. He stood rooted to the ground, not even reacting when the Empress pushed the door open. Empress looked at the unconscious Emperor in surprise. So easily? Empress asked. Gu Qingshan nodded. Take a closer look at his face, see if he's the Emperor or not. Empress crouched down and carefully looked at him for a bit. Empress whispered, He really does look like him, but I don't think he's the real him. Gu Qingshan understood. Just now when he used soul reading, he found that the Emperor's memory was extremely fragile. As soon as he used the technique, his memory immediately collapsed. Soul reading is a risky technique. It's very easy to make someone lose their mind or become a living dead. In other words, after using soul reading, the Emperor became an idiot. Gu Qingshan also didn't find any valuable information. As Empress carefully looked at the Emperor, a green light suddenly appeared on her hand. She's a lady of the Medici clan, a wood elemental herself. She lightly put her hand on the Emperor's forehead. Brain death, incurable, Empress said. The two of them went silent. One of the most powerful professionists in the world, the ruler of the Fuxi Empire, died just like that. He died just like that, in the meeting room. There's something wrong with the Emperor's memory, Gu Qingshan said. Now that you mention it, I also remember. He's been a bit forgetful these past few days, Empress said. Have you seen a doctor? The answer was obvious, but Gu Qingshan still asked. I have. The doctor said there's nothing wrong with him, Empress answered. Perhaps it's a genetic problem? Fuxi is a complete blank when it comes to genetic technology. The most knowledgeable person is your Federation's Professor Tang Jun. Tang Jun ha Gu Qingshan sighed, already knowing the answer. Which means the Fuxi Emperor used a clone. Chapter 377. The Emperor was still lying on the ground, unmoving. The conference room was brightly lit, completely silent. The Empress looked a little dazed, but she was mostly angry. Gu Qingshan stood on one side, thinking about what happened recently. He suddenly remembered a certain person. The Federation's Emperor Li Dongyuan. Just like the Fuxi Emperor, he couldn't even block a single strike from me. Even with the most advanced cloning technology to perfectly replicate a human's power, there's still a flaw. And that flaw is memory. Once a professionist's memory has a problem, then the professionist's understanding of their power, as well as their experience from countless battles, will all be messed up. As a professionist, having great power but not knowing how to control it will cause a lot of flaws in battle. Sometimes, a tiny flaw can decide life and death. See Emperor. Gu Qingshan muttered. The Fuxi Emperor's scheme has already reached the upper echelons of the Federation. What exactly is he trying to do? Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then decided to take precautions first. Impartial Goddess, contact the Martial Saint, tell him that according to your judgment, the President might be in danger. Tell him to be careful, Gu Qingshan said. Understood, sir, Impartial Goddess replied. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a sound came from the conference room. Someone was knocking on the door. Gu Qingshan and Empress exchanged glances. What is it? Empress raised her voice and asked. The old minister has something to report, the person outside said. I have something to discuss with His Majesty. You can leave first, we'll discuss it tomorrow, Empress said. Yes, the sound disappeared. But there were no footsteps. The person outside stood still. They didn't leave. Empress's expression changed a bit, couldn't help but take a step back. Gu Qingshan released her inner sight to observe. Only to see two officials standing outside, exchanging glances. Powerful energy waves came from their bodies. Two fifth-stage professionists. Empress sensed the commotion outside and muttered. She turned to look at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan nodded, proving her judgment. A fifth-stage profession was already a rare sight in the world. How could two fifth-phase experts suddenly pop out? Go open the door. Gu Qingshan lowered the earth sword and said. Empress hesitated for a moment before opening the door. Two familiar faces appeared in front of her. Both of them were old ministers of the empire who had never cultivated their entire lives. But now they seemed to be filled with the power of the 5 elements and had become powerful professionals. The 2 old ministers were also stunned. He didn't expect the other party to actually dare to open the door. Was there really no problem? Gu Qingshan suddenly disappeared. He appeared behind an old minister and lightly tapped the latter's neck with his sword. The man fell to the ground, unconscious. The other old official immediately reacted and stretched out his hand to make a move. However, the sword flashed and appeared in front of him. What a fast sword! The old minister exerted his power, manifesting a layer of yellow light in front of his body. Bam! The sword suddenly flipped over, and the body of the sword struck his arms that were blocking the attack. How strange! Why was it such an insignificant strike? While the old minister was thinking that, he felt a sharp pain coming from the back of his neck. His vision darkened as he fell to the ground. Secret art, a swallow returns. When the sword strikes, there will be a similar attack coming from the back of the enemy. Gu Qingshan sheathed her sword, carried the 2 of them into the conference room. Empress quickly closed the door. Can you confirm their identities? Gu Qingshan asked. They're all trusted aides of the Emperor, but they're definitely not their original selves, Empress replied. She looked at Gu Qingshan and explained, they've always been normal people, then there's nothing to worry about. Gu Qingshan nodded. He placed his hand on one of them's forehead. Soul reading. That person's head exploded. Soul reading failed. Gu Qingshan then placed his hand on another person's forehead. But just like the Emperor, this person's brain immediately died. They're all clones, Gu Qingshan muttered. But this time, he finally obtained some blurred images. Within a mass of white fog, the Fuxi Emperor was holding a golden head, walking forward. That was the head of the founding Fuxi Emperor. All of you will temporarily help me manage the country, the Fuxi Emperor said. Another voice asked, what if we're exposed? The Fuxi Emperor answered without turning around. Stall for as much time as possible, it doesn't matter even if we're exposed, I've already arranged everything, everything is about to come. In the face of an irresistible power, the fate of humanity has already been decided. His voice seemed to carry a bit of sorrow, but also excitement and excitement. The Emperor walked into the mass of white fog and slowly disappeared. The images disappeared. Gu Qingshan silently nodded. Although he had only obtained a small piece of information, he had already guessed most of the ins and outs of the entire matter. Who else knows about this? The palace guards should also be checked. I'm going to clean up this place. Call 2 guards in, Gu Qingshan said. Got it. Empress also knew that the situation was strange and quickly replied. She went out for a bit, then returned with 2 guards in a few moments. Her sword flashed. The 2 guards were knocked unconscious. Gu Qingshan sensed them and found that they were only 3rd-stage professionists. He used soul reading again. This time, he successfully obtained their memories. These 2 guards are fine, Gu Qingshan said, but the Emperor and the 2 officials' memories are very fragile and unstable. Do you think the Emperor is still alive? Empress asked. That's right, the real His Majesty might have gone to do something else, Gu Qingshan reminded him. They were still husband and wife, so Gu Qingshan wasn't sure what Empress's attitude towards this would be. Empress coldly spoke. Those 2 just now held killing intent towards me, did you know that? As a professionist, she had a good understanding of this. Gu Qingshan hesitantly nodded. Empress wiped her tears and spoke without changing her expression. If that's what he planned, then the last bit of affection I have with him should also be severed. A wise decision. We're leaving this place right now, Gu Qingshan said. Empress was a bit surprised, then realized. Who knows how many accomplices these people have? They were able to casually release 2 5th-stage combatants. Who knows how strong they really are? As the 2 of them were about to leave, a sound came. Bam! 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 There was another knock on the door. What is it? Empress asked. We have something to report, the person outside said. From the sound of it, there seemed to be 4 people. I have something to discuss with His Majesty. You can leave first, we'll discuss it tomorrow, Empress said. Yes, the sound disappeared. There were no footsteps. The people outside the door were still standing there, not leaving. Gu Qingshan released her inner sight to sense them, only to find that they were 4 fifth-stage professionists. Empress looked at Gu Qingshan and hurriedly asked, "What do we do now?" Gu Qingshan replied, "I probably won't be able to hold back. If I want to knock them out again, it won't be easy. 4 fifth-stage professionists, even if they don't have any fighting experience, they still have a lot of destructive power. But this battle can't be done without alerting others. If more enemies are alerted, the situation will quickly worsen. So I can only not hold back and finish this as soon as possible." Empress said, "Just kill them." Got it. Gu Qingshan changed his war god title to Ace Hitman. He gestured to Empress. Empress laughed and loudly said, "You still haven't left? His Majesty wants you to come in and talk." Then scram. When the 4 people outside heard this, they couldn't help but look at each other. "Are they fine?" "Open the door," one of them whispered. Another went to open the door. At the same time, Gu Qingshan disappeared again. The black sword phantom bloomed like a blossoming flower, exploding in the middle of the 4 people. 3 of them were instantly killed. One of them managed to dodge, shouting as he retreated. As the pale blue sword phantom flashed, his voice also disappeared. The huge amount of sword chi circled around, turned into a rushing wind, and scattered along the corridor. Blood was blown away by the wind, splashing all over the walls and the corridor, turning the luxurious palace corridor into a blood-red passage. Severed limbs were scattered all over the ground. Gu Qingshan appeared. He swung the earth sword, casually swinging it to get rid of the blood on the blade. "You've killed your opponent in 1 strike, your spirit energy has been returned. You've killed your opponent in 1 strike, your spirit energy has been returned. You've killed your opponent in 1 strike, your spirit energy has been returned." Gu Qingshan's spirit energy was once again replenished. With a light tap of his foot, Gu Qingshan returned to the conference room. Empress looked at the scene outside, stunned for a while. She suddenly asked, "How could a person like you be unknown?" "I'm a famous scientist," Gu Qingshan replied. Empress sighed and asked, "Are we just going to keep waiting like this?" "Of course not, that's too passive," Gu Qingshan replied. He thought for a bit, then asked, "The last time His Majesty went hunting alone, where was it?" "Barren Cloud Valley," Empress replied. Gu Qingshan's heart sank. "So that's it. The end of the world is about to begin. I have to go there right away," Gu Qingshan said. "Then what about me? And my daughter, what are we going to do if you leave?" Empress hurriedly asked. "I'm going to find a reliable friend to protect you, of course. If you're willing to pay a bit of compensation, my friend will do his best." "What kind of compensation?" Empress clenched her fist and asked. "Money." Gu Qingshan spat out a single word. Empress sighed in relief. For the Fushi royal family, the most worthless thing is money. "Deal," she said. "I need your permission to fly to the palace," Gu Qingshan said. "As long as they have my electronic invitation, they won't be stopped," Empress said. "Time is of the essence. I need you to open the no-fly zone and let them land directly in front of the palace. That requires the highest authority. Once I use it, the entire palace's defense system will know. Just use it later. I'll call my partner," Gu Qingshan said. He took out his holobrain and contacted Zhang Yongho. "What is it?" Zhang Yongho asked. "We have business," Gu Qingshan said. "What business?" "Protecting a very important person, big bro. This is a hitman's guild, not a security company," Zhang Yongho helplessly said. "Then I have another business I want to introduce to you," Gu Qingshan said. "Speak. Kill everyone who gets close to the target." Chapter 378. Alright, how about the payment? Wait, don't tell me you want me to work for free again? I have a lot of mouths waiting to be fed. Zhang Young-ho complained bitterly. Money isn't a problem, Gu Qing-shan said. Who would be so generous? Zhang Young-ho asked suspiciously. Fushi Imperial Clan. Distinguished customer, Zhang Young-ho whistled. I'll bring someone over right away. Give me the address. Fushi Empire, the Desert Oasis Palace. Today is April Fool's Day? That's the Fushi Emperor's territory. According to my sources, he's currently on vacation there. You want me to protect him? No, I'll kill him. You bring people to protect Empress. You killed him. You killed the Fushi Emperor. Zhang Young-ho exclaimed in disbelief. It's not the real him. It's a clone. Zhang Young-ho realized the seriousness of the matter, and his voice sank. Who do you want me to protect? Your Highness Empress. I need air access. I'll give you the authority right away. First have Liao Xing teleport you all to the Fushi Desert, then quickly bring your men here. The situation is very complicated. Bring some good men. We'll be there soon. The call ended. Gu Qing-shan was about to speak to Empress when there was a knock on the door. Bang, bang, bang. What is it? Empress asked calmly. This subject has something to report, the person outside said. From the sound of it, there seemed to be dozens of people. A powerful aura rose from their bodies. Their voices were filled with impatience and killing intent. Obviously, something unexpected had happened. They were also anxious. Empress's face turned pale. There was simply no end to these people. Gu Qing-shan held the earth sword and walked to the door. Please come in, he said. The door swung open. Gu Qing-shan circulated all the spiritual energy in her body and struck with all her might. Secret Art Torrent. This was a powerful sword technique from another cultivation world. Thousands of sword phantoms turned into a raging flood that rushed out of the door. In a split second, those people were hit by countless sword gleams and swept away by the flood of sword gleams. They crashed into the wall at the end of the corridor. The wall immediately collapsed. The torrent of sword radiance rushed out of the temporary imperial residence, streaked across the oasis, and only dissipated when it reached the desert. All the blood, all the flesh, collapsed in the torrent of sword light. Gu Qing-shan sheathed her sword and said, "This commotion can no longer be hidden from anyone. Prepare to face the enemy." A green light flew out from Empress's hand and landed in the hallway. Wood of the 5 elements, life force absorption. Soon, the severed limbs and even the blood stains in the corridor were absorbed by the green light. The green light turned into a beautiful flower and flew back to Empress's hand. Empress put away the flowers. Near and far, all kinds of sounds could be heard. What happened? Run. Many people died just now. A woman screamed. Follow me. Where's Empress? Protect His Majesty. Someone shouted. Amidst the chaos, a dignified voice suddenly sounded. There's no need. I'm here. All the voices went silent. This was the Emperor's voice. The palace guards followed the voice and quickly moved closer to His Majesty. Everyone follow me, we're going to the conference room. The Emperor's voice resounded throughout the entire palace. Hearing this voice, Gu Qing-shan and Empress exchanged glances. It's too late to run now, so they both want to see who's coming. A few moments later, a group of people came from the blood-red hallway. The Fushi Emperor, wearing his imperial robe with a grim expression, walked at the front. Over a dozen palace guards followed behind him. The prince and princess were at the very back, following closely behind. As soon as the Emperor saw Gu Qing-shan, he pointed at him and ordered, "Go, catch him." Gu Qing-shan released her inner sight, scanned through the Emperor, then scanned under the table behind her. The unconscious Emperor was still hidden behind the table. Inside the conference room, 2 Emperors appeared at the same time. Following the Emperor's order, a group of palace guards sped up and rushed out from the hallway. These guards were all at the Type 3 or Type 4 realm, and were normal humans. The guard who was drinking with him earlier was also among them. Seeing that, Gu Qingshan felt a bit of a headache. The officials who rushed up just now were all 5th stage combatants, so there's obviously something wrong with them, so he didn't mind killing them. These palace guards are innocent. Once they fight, Gu Qingshan won't hold back. But before that, he doesn't want to kill innocent and weak people. Empress felt like she was going crazy, grabbing Gu Qingshan's hand and asked, "Is this real? How many clones does he actually have?" Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then raised the earth sword and held it against her neck. He looked at the palace guards and shouted, "If any of you come any closer, I'll kill Empress." All the palace guards froze and stopped. The esteemed Empress was being held hostage, so no one dared to act rashly. They all turned to look at the Emperor. The Fuxi Emperor was also stunned, but in the next moment, his face was filled with rage. He shouted, "That Empress is a fake, I order you to kill these two." The palace guards hesitated. While they were in a stalemate, the princess pulled the prince out from behind. "No, that's not a fake, that's the real mother," the princess loudly shouted. "How dare you? I'm here, what nonsense are you spouting?" The emperor shouted. "It's Mother, I'm very familiar with her every move, I know that's Mother, don't act rashly." The princess was so worried she was about to cry. "You're mistaken. All of you attack. Kill them," the emperor ordered. The empress sneered and said, "All guards, listen to my orders. Kill this guy who impersonated His Majesty." The palace guards were all stunned. Gu Qingshan swung his hand, pushing the table away from him. An unconscious man appeared in front of everyone. The Fuxi Emperor. Gu Qingshan pulled his sword away from Empress's neck and pointed it at the Emperor in the hallway. "You're a fake," he said. "I'm a fake," the Emperor laughed. He unleashed his full power, causing the entire palace to tremble. Gu Qingshan formed a hand seal. In a split second, the earth sword turned into a blurred image, piercing through the palace guards to attack the Emperor. "Fool!" A gray light appeared from the Emperor's hand, striking the earth sword from afar. Bam! With a dull sound, the earth sword was frozen in place by the gray light. This was the 5th stage of the earth elemental ability, all things collapse. Just because, the Emperor was about to say something, but his voice stopped. 5 lines of blood appeared on his body. Within the mist of blood, the Emperor's body scattered all over the ground. Gu Qingshan reached his hand out. The earth sword flew back, silently hovering in front of him. "Sword manipulation, secret art, silver star. I'm sorry, you couldn't even take a fraction of my power, so you're a fake," Gu Qingshan said. "Did you see that? How could the real His Majesty be so useless?" Empress raised her voice. The palace guards exchanged glances. That seems to be the case. They've all seen how powerful the Emperor is, he wouldn't be this useless. "Please forgive me, Empress." The palace guards all knelt down. The prince and princess rushed into the conference room, standing next to Empress. "Mother, what exactly happened?" the young prince asked. "Someone impersonated your father, attempting to overthrow the Fuxi Empire, and has been caught," Empress simply told him. "Men, gather all the palace guards," she ordered. "Watch out!" Gu Qingshan shouted. The prince took out a sharp dagger and tried to stab Empress. This happened too suddenly, no one could save her in time. Empress disappeared. Gu Qingshan stood where she originally stood and knocked the dagger away. "Who exactly are you?" Gu Qingshan asked. "Damn it, it's all your fault for ruining our plans," the prince begrudgingly said. Gu Qingshan raised her sword and said, "Explain everything clearly and I can spare your life." The prince made a strange smile. "You want to know? Unfortunately, I won't tell you, I'll make you tell me." Gu Qingshan spoke in a low voice. The prince had a mocking expression on his face and said, "You won't have the chance, I'll leave now, but I'll return." Without waiting for Gu Qingshan to do anything, the prince collapsed on the ground, no longer moving. Gu Qingshan rushed forward and opened the prince's mouth. Black blood flowed out from the prince's mouth. He committed suicide by taking poison. Gu Qingshan looked at the corpse on the ground and muttered, "He'll return?" For a dead person to return, it must be because of that. Gu Qingshan's expression completely changed. If the prince didn't say anything at all, or said something else, Gu Qingshan wouldn't have been enlightened at all. But the prince said such a thing in front of a reincarnated person. Perhaps he thought that no one would know what he meant by that. Gu Qingshan understood right away. The frost calamity. It still came. The Fuxi emperor had such an idea. Gu Qingshan sighed and shook her head. The end of the world is coming. Humanity couldn't fight against the frost calamity. A powerful person like the Fuxi emperor himself could command an entire country to fight against the calamity, but he lost himself in his own ambition. This was a huge blow to the fate of humanity as a whole. Gu Qingshan suddenly stood still. A few lines of glowing text were scrolling across his retina. Gu Qingshan's gaze fell onto the war god Yue. The user has discovered the beginning of a calamity. The world's end storyline has appeared. Quest description. Combining various signs, the user believes that a calamity strong enough to end the world is about to appear. Following this, the user must prove his hypothesis. Quest objective. The user must witness the existence of the calamity with his own eyes. Quest reward. When your hypothesis is proven, the user will be able to use soul points to speed up the Chao Yin sword's repair process. Chapter 379. As Gu Qingshan stared at the war god Yue, she was a bit surprised. The war god Yue actually issued a quest in reality. The world's end. For the quest to have such a description, does the war god Yue also think that this is an unbeatable calamity? But this quest is exactly what Gu Qingshan wanted. Whether it's to repair the Chao Yin sword or discover the truth behind the calamity, both are things that Gu Qingshan wanted to do. Repairing the Chao Yin sword is the first step of the Sword Saint quest. If I can regain my Sword Saint strength at Ascended Realm early stage, my power will immediately surpass my past life. He pulled his gaze away from the war god Yue and looked around the conference room. The princess jumped into Empress's arms, crying. The officials and guards all arrived at the conference room. Gu Qingshan stopped them from approaching, separating them from Empress. Right now, these people aren't trustworthy. Until Zhang Yongho arrives, this is the best I can do. Gu Qingshan silently stayed by Empress's side, thinking about something else. The Federation Navy's Admiral Li Dongyuan was replaced with a clone. Does the Fuxi Emperor also have thoughts about the Federation? Gu Qingshan immediately called out, "Impartial Goddess, I'm here, sir." Impartial Goddess replied. "How is the President right now?" "He's not contacting me, but his vitals are normal. It's currently late at night, so the President is probably resting." Gu Qingshan relaxed a bit and asked, "What's the President's schedule for tomorrow?" "Today, to be exact. There's still 4 hours until dawn. The President will make a national televised speech at 9 a.m. to encourage people to vote for the election." "Where's the Martial Saint?" "General Zhang Zongyang is currently guarding the President's manor." Gu Qingshan sighed in relief. "The Martial Saint was able to tell what I'm doing at a glance, so it shouldn't be fake. With the Martial Saint guarding him, the President's safety is guaranteed." Inside the conference room, Empress began to issue orders one by one. Following her orders, people began to leave the conference room. Under Empress's command, the entire palace began to operate at an extremely high efficiency. "Your Highness, there's someone outside the temporary imperial residence with your electronic invitation," a palace guard said. "Let him in," Empress ordered. Zhang Yongho quickly appeared inside the conference room. "This is my partner, Zhang Yinghao. He's quite trustworthy." Gu Qingshan introduced them. "I know you, the king of assassins who betrayed the 9 lords." Empress reached her hand out to greet him. Zhang Yinghao kissed his hand and said, Your Highness, it is my honor to meet you. The Empress went straight to the point. The generosity of the Empire has always been known, so you don't have to worry about the payment. Just protect me and my daughter. King Shan, Clan King Tian, King Long, King Gu Shan Clan, King Shan, Sect Clan Sect King is Clan King, asked. Shan Ling King Queen Gu Qing Shan asked. Where are your people? Zhang Yongho replied. They're here, I'll let them in right away. Please allow me, Your Highness, let them in, Empress ordered. Zhang Yongho took out his communicator and called his subordinate. While waiting, Gu Qing Shan brought Zhang Yongho to a corner and explained everything from start to finish. Zhang Yongho gasped. Clones, they can even clone a professionist's power, that Tang Jun sure is impressive, he muttered. But their memories are messed up, and they don't have any battle experience. Your men can definitely hold up the defenses here, Gu Qing Shan said. Young and immature combatants, they're the assassin's favorite targets, Zhang Yongho said. Gu Qing Shan patted his shoulder and told him, I'll leave this place to you. I'll be leaving first. You're leaving? Zhang Yongho was a bit surprised. I thought you'd be willing to fight alongside me. Next time, the situation this time is very serious. I need to go to a certain place to confirm something, Gu Qing Shan said. That's fine, then go. I'll watch over this place, Zhang Yongho said. Gu Qing Shan turned around to say goodbye to Empress, only to see that she was already sitting on the Emperor's throne. The officials and guards were all kneeling in front of her, waiting for her orders. Empress was still arranging emergency measures for everyone. Empress solemnly declared, Anyone who disobeys orders is a spy. You can kill them on the spot, understood? Yes, Your Highness, now execute. Yes, the guards obeyed the order and dispersed. Her expression was calm, her tone was steady, her orders were simple and clear, and everyone in the palace followed her orders. A few moments later, many people wearing black sunglasses entered the conference room, standing next to Zhang Yongho. Zhang Yongho began to arrange his men. One of the girls took off her sunglasses and greeted Gu Qing Shan. It was the assassin Tong Tong. Gu Qing Shan lightly nodded to greet her, then turned to stand next to Empress. Your Highness, what do you plan to do next? He asked. He's already gone mad, but I haven't. I want to save this country, Empress calmly replied. In the night, Gu Qing Shan piloted the shuttle, heading towards Barren Cloud Valley. Impartial Goddess couldn't find any results from the few places in the Federation's territory, and Barren Cloud Valley was the source of the calamity in Fushi's territory. This was a protected primeval forest, coincidentally the place where the Emperor went hunting alone. There can't be such a coincidence in this world. When Gu Qing Shan arrived, Yi Feili was already waiting for him. When did you get here? Gu Qing Shan asked right away. As soon as you told me to come, I came, Yi Feili answered. Alright, then let's look around first. If you hear any sounds, try to find the source, Gu Qing Shan said. He circulated his spirit energy and fully released his inner sight. Why so urgent? Yi Feili asked. It's an emergency, we need to split up, Gu Qing Shan answered. What are we looking for? Any unusual phenomenon like ice? Alright. The two of them began to search the valley. This was a primeval forest, with numerous wild beasts in the middle of it, a perfect place for hunting. The sky was dark, the rain was pouring, there wasn't a single person in the forest. A faint mist covered the entire forest. This mist didn't dissipate, instead it followed the wind and spread out of the forest. Sir, the satellite can't see the ground clearly, Impartial Goddess reported. It's fine, Gu Qing Shan said. We'll look for it ourselves. He and Yi Feili continued to travel through the forest under the rain. Half an hour later, Gu Qing Shan was standing next to a frozen lake. The surface of the lake was covered in mist, making it impossible to see anything. Found it, come to me, Gu Qing Shan spoke to the holobrain. Got it, Yi Feili hung up. A few moments later, a red streak of light quickly flew towards them. As the wind carried by the red streak of light scattered, Yi Fei Li appeared. What a solid block of ice! He squinted his eyes. Gu Qingshan replied. That's right, the layer of ice on the lake was thick and deep, but as he looked down with his inner sight, he found that there wasn't a single drop of water flowing. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.